What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? As usual, hope we're doing as well as we can be doing. We are a couple of days removed from the tragedy that occurred, and we're going to be updating ourselves on that. Although I'm sure many of you already know what's going on, but it's good to take a look, and it's good to kind of talk it over with each other and stuff like that. I have a couple of things planned. Really, one major thing planned for this stream. We're going to watch the entirety of Erika Kirk's address to the nation, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. In addition to that, we're going to talk about the alleged killer, right? Alleged being used very loosely here, but we're going to talk about that, and we're going to do our thing. Thank you very much, Zach, for being vigilant when I am not being vigilant and doing that there. Huh. Interesting. It says YouTube is not. You see, it says my stream status is poor. Let me know if anything uh, has an issue. I was worried about the potential for issues because I had to talk to my internet service provider because, as usual, they can't just have one fucking. They can't just have one price for you the entire time. They have to have like promotional prices that will last for a year, and then they have to fucking like they have you have to constantly talk to them because randomly your bill will go up every year, and you have to be like, hey, my bill went up, what happened? Then they're like, oh yeah, the promotion ended, don't worry, we have another one though. And this promotion that they gave me changed a couple of things. I noticed that when they enacted the promotion, it says stream is healthy. I noticed when they enacted the promotion, all of a sudden I got these notifications that like super fast is gone, X1 whatever is gone, all this stuff that like I didn't even know I had in the first place is now gone. So I was worried about the potential of my streams being a little bit fucked up. So that's why I'm giving you the spiel right now. That's why I'm like, pissed off at my ISP. Not that you need a reason to be pissed off at your ISPs. Those guys are practically cartels. But anyway, with that said, we're going to be talking about the tragedy that occurred over the last couple of days, or a couple of days ago, and we're going to catch up on that. But first, I'll go ahead. I'll read some of the chat here. Slam Dunk Eric says this story smells. Yes, there's definitely some interesting things there, and I don't know what to believe. And I think that's just kind of the nature of something like this. Oh geez, I'm drinking a Mountain Dew here, so pardon the flatulence. But yeah, it's really weird, and it's I don't know what to believe completely and totally. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what to believe completely and totally. But what is going on, Slam Dunk Eric, Zachary Vered? What is going on, Snurf G? I see you're watching on Twitch. What is going on, Austino XYZ? What's going on, Boob Slime? What is going on, Adderall Guy, Lord Gygus? What is going on, JNCL Cherry Blossom, also on Twitch. Thank you very much. Yep, it's a late stream. I had some stuff that I was doing a little bit earlier, so because of that, I couldn't get here when I wanted to, when I usually would get here. Interesting. So Snurf G posted a YouTube link. We're gonna go ahead. I don't know if we're gonna watch this necessarily. I don't know if we're gonna watch this, but yeah, it's about 13 minutes long. Maybe we'll check it out. But basically, what he sent was this Paramount Tactical Charlie Kirk. What really happened to Body Armor Contribute? Yeah, so that's well, maybe we'll take a look at that in a little bit. Thank you very much, Snurf G, for sending that. We do have another video that we want to take a look at as well, though. First, like I said, it's going to be the Erika Kirk one. That's about 16 and a half minutes, a little bit under. Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand it completely. Proverbs 28:5. Yes, indeed, Zachary. What's going on, Lord Gygus? I did already say hello to you, but I saw you said hello, so I want to say hello back. A reliable source told me that Tyler Robinson is actually a black man wearing whiteface. I believe it at this point. No way he's the only person involved, and I'm starting to believe there actually were outside the country people or organizations involved after all the things Kirk was talking against Israel. Yeah, yeah. Apparently, he was kind of. Some of the rumors that I've heard is he was kind of breaking free from that, and I find it very interesting that what's his face, Ben Shapiro, is now like, I'm gonna pick up where he left off. I'm gonna pick up where he left off. I'm going to do the university circuit. I'm going back on tour. I'm going to do the university circuit. Facts don't care about your feelings. Israel over everything. Like, excuse me. It's interesting that all of a sudden he is trying to be Mr. I'm gonna pick up the sword. I'll pick up the sword and the shield. It's very 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 interesting. Very interesting. It shows still images of Kirk shot, and then close-ups show the bullet most likely ricocheted off his body armor. Ah, yes. Oh, what's going on, Egg White? How you doing, man? What's going on, Big Boss? I couldn't watch the Erika video. Shit is too sad. Yeah, I saw about a minute from it, and I definitely liked what I saw. And when I say that, obviously what I mean is I like the messaging. I think she is being very strong. I think the strong thing to do is to stand up and not call for unity and things like that. Or if you're going to call for unity with people who are actually going to be fair and just and honest with you. But like one thing, like with Austin Metcalf, right? That was one of the things that people were really upset about, rightfully so, is that his dad was like, "Hey, it wasn't a race thing, and Austin wouldn't want you to make it a race thing. If I get baby, if I get killed by a black guy, make it a race thing. If I get killed by a black guy, make it a race thing. If you get killed by a black guy, I'm making it a race thing. You have my permission, all right? My dad, I know I wouldn't even have to talk to him about that. He'd be dropping slurs. I can remember there was I forget if I ever told you this, but the way I figured out about lynching everybody, there was a kidnapper that got caught in my town, not even a mile from where I lived. He actually, you know the uncle that lives near me. He actually was in a police chase and he crashed into the bushes in front of my uncle's house. Yeah. Dude ran down the street, and when he was caught, there was a big crowd, and since I live so close, I got to see him get pulled, and he apparently swung a hatchet at the cops and shit like that, and they took him down. They throw him in the. We got to see the perp walk. We got to see him walk out in the handcuffs and get shoved in the cruiser, and my dad was like, "Lynch him!" I was like, I literally, like, I look at my mom, I'm like, what does that mean, Mom? And she was like, oh, I think she kind of explained it to me, but she didn't explain everything about it to me, you know? Um, but yeah, that's funny as fuck looking back at it. But yeah, this, black dude kidnapped two young white girls, Um, yeah, but not that race even plays that big of a part of it in terms of like, oh, it was two white girls who were kidnapped. Like that's equally as disgusting if like two black girls or Asian girls or like Brazilians or whatever got kidnapped. The children, man. But that was just the case that occurred. But yeah, there is no fucking way. Like, if anything like that happened, I would not be like, and you know what? I guarantee you they targeted her because she was fucking immigrant, and they were like, oh, you know what? We gonna get this fucking Mexican bitch, And I would want my dad and my wife to be like, they targeted him because he was white. Um, but yeah, anyway. You see the amount of people that were fired for their posts on social media? Yes, white pill. That is a white pill and then some for sure. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You see, I have a bit of a plan, right? First, I want to watch the Erika video. Potentially, like I said, I'm not to snub you, Snurf G. I do appreciate the link you sent, but 15 minutes or so, I think it was. It was yeah, a little under 14 minutes. Like, if we can get it in there, we will. But like, I don't know that I'm that like it's not that I'm not interested in it. It's a video that I probably will watch on my own if we don't watch it here. But like, if I don't watch it, it's only because I had a certain vision for this stream. Is all that it is all that it was, you know. So I don't want you to think I'm like, you know, fuck that. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, the vid ain't worth it. I already told you the entire vid. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, you know. If he'd been wearing a lower grade, it might have gotten through and tore him up, but he'd be alive. Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing that happens. That's the unfortunate thing that you everything's a gamble, you know. Everything's a gamble, and not to go too deep into the martial arts talk here. Not that that's not my channel, but not to go too deep into the martial arts talk right now. But that's something that irks me when I talk to people about different techniques and stuff like that. They say, "Nah, dude, you can't move your head like that, because what if you get, dude, you might move into a head kick." And it's like, okay, if I don't move my head, I'm gonna get hit in the face because somebody's throwing a punch at me. So it'd probably be better if instead of sitting here and hoping I'm able to stop the punch with my hands or elbows or whatever, I slip the punch, you know. You're always taking a risk no matter what you're doing. If you don't want to take a risk, don't get into a fight. If you don't want to take a risk, don't become a prominent right-wing influencer who has to wear a bulletproof vest. Charlie knew the risks and he was okay with that, and that's what makes this situation so admirable in terms of like what happened with him and how resolute he was, and how he was asked at least once, probably a few times, hey, like, what happens if you end up getting hurt? And he was like, well, that's all right, you know. Stronger man than me, you know. It's like I said, I'm slowly becoming a politics guy, but I never wanted to be a politics guy because I didn't want that kind of attention on me, you know. I don't want that kind of attention on me for the most part, but unfortunately, it's just too easy to make politics videos, so I'm starting to kind of move into that a little bit, and I'm accepting, okay, well, there's going to be people who are like, oh, gee, I didn't know Scott was a far-right fascist, oh, gee. There's going to be people who are like that, fucking whatever, fuck them, who cares, you know? It's not even true, but fuck it, you know? Dricus and Cruz did everything wrong technically, but became champions, yes, you know? People complaining about cancer culture, I think it's hilarious. Our enemy has sent a nuke at us. We need to fire back. No, we mustn't stoop to their level. Dies in nuclear fire. Exactly. I want to wait. I want to wait before I really start digging into that, you know. But like, yeah, that's Big Boss. That's a really good one, you know. That's really, really good one. Really good one. But yeah, anyway, so let's go ahead, right? So, well, actually, I forgot to pull something else up that I was going to pull up. Silly me. Silly me. Okay. So, we are looking for the killer. I clicked on a video of the... yes, okay. So, this right here, Republicans against Trump, all right. Tyler Robinson's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, told the Daily Mail today, my son, his dad, is a Republican for Trump. Most of my family members are Republican. I don't know any single one who's a Democrat. Interesting. And of course, it's Republicans against Trump. Well, you probably didn't really know your grandson like that then. I mean, like, ask yourself, how often do you see people and how often do you discuss politics with your grandfather or something like that? That's not usually something that happened, you know? I remember when I got kicked out of my parents' house, my grandfather was slightly aware of some issues that I had with my parents and stuff like that. But when I got kicked out of my parents' house, that was a big fucking shock to him, right? Your grandparents, for the most part, don't know shit about you. They just know that you're their grandson or granddaughter, and because of that, they love you. And when you're around, they want everything to be all hunky dory, and you know they want to help you and all that other stuff. At least if they're a good grandparent. And it's the same thing with my grandparents. I didn't know shit about them, you know, but I knew they were my grandparents, and I loved them. And even though I wasn't gonna sit here and be like, and you know what, Grampy, I think Trump is gonna save the country. Even though I wasn't sitting there like that, it didn't need to be like that, you know? Like, just each other's company was enough, you know? So, for one thing, I don't believe this woman even knows what she's talking about, right? I don't believe this is an actual Republican. And I think it's interesting that they are using pictures of him with the hat sunglasses combo. That's a big thing. There's the hat sunglasses combo. that like boomer conservative dads are known for, as well as like this kind of t-shirt, though he doesn't have that kind of t-shirt on. I think it's interesting that they're using that. I'm looking for I'm looking you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go yes, we'll just go straight to Tyler Robinson, because there's a lot of fucking assholes who want to like that. Like there was oh, hold up, there was like this guy right here. It's like, I don't need to see your fucking jacked up face, you asshole. Fucking get out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here. But anyway, um so yeah, that was a picture, right? Those pictures of Tyler Robinson, right? Um I'm looking for the pictures of him that I was seeing around. You see, what you're seeing is a lot of people trying to run interference, right? Um, you're seeing a lot of people who are trying to run interference as of right now, where they're trying to say, actually, he was a griper, because there's like pictures of him with the hat sunglasses combo and things like that. Even though the cartridges that he utilized, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Who's that handsome boy? Who's that handsome young man right there? Would you look at that? Anyway, there's a lot of people out there who, because he's like, again, the hat sunglasses combo, they're trying to act like, oh dude, actually no, he's a right winger. But that's just a fashion statement, or not even a fashion statement. It's just how he wears his fucking shit, you know? Um the left is now photoshopping images of Tyler Robinson wearing a Trump shirt. Yes. Yes. This is one of the ones right here. Like, the left, and I always feel stupid, and this is part of the reason I didn't want to be a politics guy, but I always feel stupid talking about like the left wing, the Democrat Party. That's what boomers do. I don't want to be a fucking boomer, but the left wing is so full of hatred, they're so full of vitriol, that they can't just take the L. They have to try and find a way to make it into a thing where this guy was actually a Nick Fuentes supporter or something like that. When the reality is he was not. He had Bella Ciao, right? For those of you that don't know, Bella Ciao is an Antifa anthem, if you will. It was utilized by commies in Italy as a protest song. He had "Hey Fascist, Catch This," and then he had some left-wing tier memes that you would expect people from Discord to utilize, right? Like the "Notices Bulge" thing. It was like, ooh, notices bulge. There's something about the left wing mind. There's something about the left wing online presence where they tend to stick to, or they tend to utilize dead memes from like 5+ years ago. Elon Musk, even though he's not a left winger, he has the same thing going on. I can remember in like 2020, 2021, somewhere around there, he released a song, and it was an R.I.P. Harambe song, right? It was literally, I can remember it because it was that bad. It was like R.I.P. Harambe, sipping on some Bombay. And this is like 2020 that he's doing this or something like that, right? A lot of left wingers, a lot of weird Discord kitten motherfuckers, or Discord groomer motherfuckers. I would assume he was more of the kitten variety. They have this thing where they love stale memes that nobody else, even like a normie, someone who's not politically motivated in any way, shape, or form, would not use. Nobody does the uwu notices bulge joke anymore. But somebody who's on Discord with a and I don't know exactly what it is. That's the thing. I don't know why they are like that. Like, I was just about to try and explain off the top of my head like why I think they're like that, but I don't know. They just are. That's just the way that it is, right? So you have literally one example of him calling Charlie Kirk a fascist. You have a couple of dead memes. You have one thing that I'm not 100% sure about. It was an up arrow, a right arrow, and then 3 downward arrows. If I had to spitball, and this is a big spitball, this is a huge spitball, my guess would be maybe it's an allusion to Iron Front. And I'll go ahead. And I'll Iron Front. I don't like. I don't even think this is 100% true, right? I don't think this is 100% true, but like again, I'm just spitballing here. Like if you put a gun to my head and say you have to have an explanation, um, I would guess that maybe that's what this means, because you look at the political compass, right? That four panel political compass. Up and to the right would be fascism territory. That is authoritarianism is the upward hemisphere, I guess you could say. I would assume that's what it's called. I forget if that is what it's called. And then right is conservative, right? So you have authoritarian conservatives down, three arrows down. Three arrows down is a sign from Iron Front USA and the original Iron Front organization. I wonder if this guy was a member of the Iron Front USA Discord server. This is actually a server that years ago I tried to infiltrate, but I was never really that good of an infiltrator back when I was doing the activist shit. I was ass at it. So because of that, they kind of had a feeling that I did not have good intentions, and because of that, I was never actually able to get in. But there is a Discord server where these people operate, and I wonder if that is an allusion to this group, this organization. Let's see here. I mean, Iron Front USA, right here, right? So maybe, I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. And then he also had Bella Ciao, which again, that is very esoteric. So we have two confirmations of left-wing bias, no confirmations of right-wing bias in those cartridges. And then one of them is like, well, we don't know what it is, but I mean, I'd say this is not the most far-fetched, even though it is a bit of a reach. I could kind of understand it a little bit. So 2 and 1 potential. And then we have 2 stale memes that, again, these are the kinds of people that would use a stale meme like that from almost 10 years ago. I remember when that meme, because it was like an annoying meme to me, having to listen to people be like, ooh, what's this? And it's like, fucking shut up, dude. Get out of here, you know? Like that was a stupid, annoying meme to me, right? So I can remember it's probably a little under 10 years old, that meme, right? This guy is a lefty. This guy is a lefty, and then some, you know? What if he just wanted attention and is opposite to his family politically for the same reason? Everything he's done seems very attention-seeking, no manifesto, so he doesn't care about the world. I mean, you would think that he would leave a manifesto if he was seeking attention, you know? Because that's what a lot of these other people are doing, is they're seeking some kind of attention. They think, all right, whatever, like, I feel like I want to die, so why don't I go out in a blaze of glory, and that way the people on the mass killer subreddit will fucking talk about me. You know, there will be people other than my parents and my friends and other family and stuff like that in my hometown that know about me and want to talk about me. I think that is, you know, um, I think we would have gotten more. I think we would have gotten more if he was just attention seeking. You know, I think it's a reach. From what I've heard about Helldivers, it's full of anti-fascist messaging. Think the arrows are just straightforward iconography from the game. Ah, okay, yeah, maybe that could be it. I haven't thought about Helldivers since I wasted $60 on it. So and I mean, again, like, Helldivers is one of those games that left wingers play because they want to feel like fascists but not actually be fascist, you know? It's a very irony leftist kind of thing to do, is play Helldivers, where like there's different kinds of irony leftists. You have the guy who he wishes he could be racist towards blacks, but he can't, because that would make him a heckin' bad guy and not wholesome chungus and stuff like that. So what he does is he channels it into like fucking a safe group like Italians. That's why shithead like fucking asshole leftists will go after Italians. They'll be like, these fucking Dagos, am I right? I mean, all these Italians in New York City. They'll be like that. Or what they'll do is they'll just straight up drop the N-word with a hard R and then they'll pull it back. You'll have those two things, right? So that's really what something like Helldivers is. It's these people get to feel like they are like they get to feel like fascists. They get to embrace the fascist aesthetic. They get to embrace the fascist bond, the brotherhood, the nationalism, the patriotism, whatever you want to call it. But they have that cloak of irony where they're like, huh, imagine if I actually thought that way. Because that's what it is. They'll be like, imagine if I actually thought that, right? Imagine if I actually was like that. That's the way that they are. But I mean, maybe that's this kid. Maybe that's this kid. I don't know. Beats the hell out of me, right? But I don't think that he was an attention seeker. If he was an attention seeker, he probably wouldn't have disappeared for a couple of days, and then he also would have left a manifesto, and he would probably be trying to speak to anybody right now. You think CNN wouldn't want an interview with this guy? You think anybody wouldn't want an interview with this guy? Of course he would. What was I gonna say? I think he was probably just a leftist who wanted some street cred on some level, one level or another, and he probably thought that he was gonna save the world via murdering the most milquetoast, like non-violent guy that you could on the right wing. You know, I think that's what happened. Murder equals wrong. Shocking, I know, dude. I don't know. Look, I don't know who needs to hear this, but murder. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe it's not the best thing to be doing, you know? I mean, why not give people the benefit of the doubt, you know? It's a bad look. It's a bad look. Murder, it's wrong. I don't know who needed to hear that. I'll say it again louder for those in the back. Murder is wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. CNN and NBC def want to hear and propagate this rhetoric. Oh yeah, of course. Oh, his rhetoric. Excuse me. Of course. Tyler Robinson is a typical liberal. No girls, miserable, angry, lacks the ability to be taken seriously. Yep. Yeah. The bottom line is they caught the guy, and that's good. Did he have accomplices? It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Apparently, he was talking to people on Discord all about how he was going to. He was talking to people on Discord all about how he was going to, like go back for the gun and stuff like that. Apparently, so there was. Of course, there was premeditation to this, but it wasn't just premeditation with himself. It was premeditation with a group of people, you know. I'm wondering what Discord server he happened to be in. Hold on. Another thing too. Two things that if you're actually tapped in to the political movement in that way, if you're not just some guy who has a Twitter and you still watch Fox or CNN or whatever, or like whatever YouTuber pundit you watch, thinking that means you're totally not part of the mainstream or anything like that, you would know two things. One, people like Fuentes and people like Fuentes's Groypers. Anybody to the right of Charlie Kirk did not care about Charlie Kirk like that. At best, he was just a naive dude who thought he was doing the right thing that should just be left alone, because you don't need to hate naivete. You know, you can criticize it. You can criticize him personally. But for the most part, the right wing was just like, yeah, whatever, Charlie Kirk's an idiot. At worst, they thought, oh, he's a shill, he's on the payroll, he's getting this and that. He's running interference for bad people and stuff like that. But overall, there was no violent anything that was being utilized to describe Charlie Kirk from anyone who was to the right of Charlie Kirk. Everybody on the right, I'm not saying they thought he was the best guy ever, but they didn't think he was someone worth the trouble to try and intimidate or anything like that. For the most part, the right wing doesn't do violence like that, you know? And I'm not saying that there's never any violence, no matter what. No, of course not. But when it comes to the idea of a political assassination, Charlie Kirk was not somebody that anybody gave a fuck about, you know? So there's that for one thing, right? However, by the way, who did give a fuck about Charlie Kirk? Well, the left wing did, of course, you know. So now that we've established that the right wing didn't give a fuck about him in the first place, so they never would have done anything anyway, because their MO towards Charlie Kirk is to just be like, whatever, that guy's a shill, fuck him, we'll just ignore him. We kind of have an idea, right? But then in addition to that, the Discord thing kind of gives it away a little bit, right? We used to organize. Oh, thank you, Big Boss, for the $4.99. Check out my comment string above. What do you think about it? I'll check that out in a second. Just give me a second to finish this thought. But then in addition to that, you have a situation where, oh fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Right wingers don't populate Discord like that. Like, I'm not saying right wingers don't have Discord, but everybody kind of knows that Discord is not to be trusted in terms of like right wingers congregating to discuss things and to talk about what's going to happen here, or like what people should do there, or whatever like that, right? Discord was especially after Unite the Right happened in 2017, they straight up said, hey, we have auto moderation and it's only going to get better as time goes on, and we're going to find out if you say the N-word or something like that, and we're going to ban you. But then in addition to that, we're also checking your DMs, your messages, in everywhere. And because of that, if we see something that we feel needs to be leaked to somebody, whether it's law enforcement or fucking some Antifa news outlet or something like that, we'll go ahead and we'll do that. That's literally something they started doing. So right wingers who were tapped in on the level that you would expect some kind of like clandestine activity from, whether it was just rally planning, like something as milquetoast and as boring as, hey, we're going to have a rally on the steps of the State House, we're going to call for free speech, or if it's, you know, some of that more detestable stuff, you know, the political violence stuff, everybody knew, hey, don't go to Discord, go to Telegram. Telegram is the main, I won't say it's the only, but it's the main messaging app that is utilized for political anything. Even the commies have to use it now because Signal does not work the way that the way that it used to. It is kind of obsolete for what they want to do, you know. But yeah, anyway. So Big Boss, I need to check out your comment string. You said, damn. Of course, like it's not just like one thing after another, you know. Sleepy says, Scott Sullivan MMA, you don't remember me and I don't remember our Twitter beef, but can we squash it, man? I don't want any more hatred. I mean, I don't like what's your at, because if I muted you or something like that, like I can unmute you, you know, like if we're cool, you know. I don't mute people because I'm like, fuck you, I hate you. I mute people because they're saying something that I don't feel like I want to see. Excuse me, or have to deal with. So like there's no anger or hatred on my part, you know. So like if you're cool, I'm cool, man. You know, it's all good. Just let me know or something. You know. Yeah, just let me know what your at is, you know. And I can unmute you, or if I happen to block you, I'll unblock you or whatever, you know. I'm looking for Big Boss's Nick's show last night was very good. Never watched his live show before, but it was fantastic. Very good message. Yeah, I'm not a Nick Fuentes guy. I didn't watch the show, but I did see some clips that I thought were very, very good, you know. That is one thing that Nick is very good with, is his speaking, his speech. He's somebody that you do, when he does speak, he is good to listen to. He is fun to listen to. So I understand. And like I knew about Nick Fuentes before a lot of people did, because when he got deplatformed and when he was kind of pushed into the shadows, the only people who were listening to him were dudes from like the political sphere, like that. Now you have dudes on college campuses who are like, yeah, have you heard of Nick Fuentes? Nick Fuentes, dude, I love that guy. Like, it's funny how he clawed his way back to the mainstream. I remember I was hanging out with some dudes from a certain group that I'm not going to name necessarily. They, yeah, no. I don't need to name the group. It wasn't like a really fucked up group or anything like that. It's just, fucking. I was hanging out with some dudes from a group, and I was considering joining this group, but ultimately I decided not to. And like, they were given one of the dudes. He was like the youngest dude. He was like 19 years old in a group full of like dudes that are like, 23, 24, 25, and they're like, you fucking listen to Nick Fuentes. And he's like, the 19-year-old's like, yeah, I do. He fucking knows what he's talking about. So it's funny to see how far he has come in that way. Um, um, up. Hold on. Um, all right. I'm still looking for your fucking thing, dude. I'm sorry, man. Uh, part of the issue, Big Boss, is that I don't know exactly where it starts. But I mentioned something about Nick, and then there's a ton of other messages, and then there is thank you, Sleepy. Um, Shit got me fucked up. Some of my really good friends were joking about it hours after it happened. Came very close to blocking them and cutting contact, and maybe I'm a pussy for not, but I decided to instead stay my hand and let them know it was fucked up. They stopped, at least in the group chat I'm in. Check most 3 recent chats from me. I recapped. Should only be a couple up. Okay. Oh, excuse me. They probably thought it was okay around me because I always dunked on Kirk around them because I didn't agree with his Israeli politics. Yeah, you see, like, I haven't seen too many people messing around. Like, I actually had it out briefly with this one guy on Facebook. I'm friends with this dude on Facebook. We've met a couple of times. He's an all right guy. He's in the fight game. Um, and there's this other dude that I believe he trains with or used to train with that I've seen in his comment section for years now. And whenever there's like a black dude killed by the police that is like clearly the most justified police killing that you've ever seen, he's always in there like, oh yeah, well, you fucking white people. He's always saying that shit. And then before Charlie even passed passed away, like he had a heart attack or something, before he got killed, before he was assassinated, the big thing was Irina Zarutska, and he was even talking shit about that. He was like, oh well, I forget exactly what he said, but he was trying to make it into a thing where it's like, well, when it happens to black people, y'all don't care. He's talking like that. And I told him, like, dude, every time I fucking see this guy post, you're in his comment section spreading some fucking like heinous shit. If you hate people, if you're bigoted, just say so, dude. It's okay. Like, I had it out with this dude. Even this dude, when Charlie got killed, was like, yeah, that's fucked up, man. Like, a lot of people, even ones that you would think are like pieces of shit and stuff like that, a lot of people are like, ooh. I did see somebody, it was this chick. Funny enough, I actually know that guy through this chick who we were both trying to date at the time, when we first met. And this chick was like posting a long diatribe. She's like, I've prayed for Charlie Kirk and his family and his children multiple times, but he wasn't a good guy, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh boy, here we fucking go. That's the most that I've seen, and that's the most that I'm willing to accept, is like, look, I prayed for him, but he wasn't a good guy. It's like, all right, fuck off, but whatever. I don't need to fight you over that, you know? If you're praying for them, I appreciate it. But I hope the prayers are real and not that like fake bullshit where it's like, I'll pray for you. Lord, please help this person to stop being a fucking idiot. Like, as long as it's not one of those kinds of prayers, very, very feminine method of prayer. Whatever. Fucking whatever, dude. But yeah, like if anybody around me does react like that, I'm going to call them out on it. I'm going to be like, yo, knock that the fuck off, dude. You are absolutely heinous for that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. So I read the three most recent comments. I would assume those are the comments you wanted, Big Boss. I would assume those are the comments you wanted. Yeah, let me know if yeah, you said yeah, that one. Okay, that's good. That's good. I got banned from Twitter for hate speech replying to someone justifying Charlie being killed. Yep, of course. What a surprise. It's crazy when it's crazy when the person cheering this on wants to have kids one day. Oh yeah, I just made a new chick friend who was defending Charlie and calling out people celebrating his death. It's cool. She is a dope person. That's pretty cool. You guys seeing there's people reporting anyone that celebrated his death to their jobs and getting them fired? Yes, and that is a great thing. We're kind of working out of order here. I wanted to watch the Erika video first, and we'll watch that after this. But I will say that you need to keep up the pressure. The world does not change through nice like the world does not change via kindness and charity and all this other stuff, right? It's just an unfortunate reality. These things are done in spite of a cruel, sick world. And you try your best to make everything and everyone around you a little bit better from when you found it, right? But the world does not change. At least the gears, the bloated gears of the political machine do not change via being nice and kind and stuff like that. They change via pressure. You have the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and you have to be the squeaky wheel. And that is one of the ways that you can squeak, is when somebody starts talking shit, you call up their place and you don't stop calling. You keep calling and asking, because it's not illegal to do this. You have to do it in a very specific way, but it's not illegal to do it. You keep calling them and you keep asking, hey, so I'm just wondering if you're going to do anything about that guy. Hey, were you aware that Joe Schmo said this? Hey, are you aware of what's going on with this guy? Hey, because what is going to happen is you and 100 other people end up calling. Like, for instance, it happened, I'll tell you in a second. You and 100 people call, and they get so frustrated by the amount of people who are tying up their phone lines, who are not there calling for business, but are instead calling to inform you that you are not going to do business with them, or that their business is being deteriorated or otherwise besmudged by employing this person. Eventually, they're going to get tired of that. And when I say eventually, I mean within a day or two. And they're going to end up telling this person, hey, look, I got to let you go because we need business here, dude. We're not getting business anymore. We're just getting complaint calls. That's it. And it's not complaints about our business, it's complaints about you. So I'm sorry, but you gotta go. That's the way it worked back when cancel culture was at its height. Most people, the extreme majority of people, do not agree that men are women just because they say. The extreme majority of people have an understanding of basic biology, and they also have an understanding of personal responsibility. But the average person, well, they got to work for a living. And if you started a plumbing business and you're barely scraping by as is, and you figure out that one of your plumbers, one of the guys that you hired, is making posts on Facebook, and now like you're getting targeted by the mob, you're gonna be like, oh fuck. And that's the way that it worked. And that's the tactic that you have to employ in these situations. And you don't call them up like, yo, you better fire that guy. You better fucking fire that guy. Hey, you employ that guy. No, you call them up and you respectfully say, hey, I just want to make you aware of things that your employee, insert name here, have been saying on Facebook, a public platform. We were able to track them down to this whatever, right? Whether it's through their Facebook, because a lot of people are stupid enough to put their place of work on their Facebook accounts, publicly facing, by the way, or if there was some other means that were utilized. The bottom line is, we found out that he works here. We just want to let you know what he was saying, and as if there's 10 people in a room on a conference call. But I just want to let you know what he was saying, and I want to ask if that is something that you want representing your company. Because frankly, as long as he's working there, I don't know that I want to. I don't know that I want to do business with you. I was actually thinking about having someone install a toilet, but when I saw what your employee was up to, I thought, no, I'm definitely not calling these guys, right? That's the most you want to lie. Like that's what I did it with this one chick in Wachusett, right? I'm talking about it with fucking somebody who's in my chat a lot. Because he's actually from there, right? I'm not going to tell you who it is. It is a regular in my chat, but I called Wachusett Regional whatever, right? I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, and I said, "Hello, I'm a concerned parent. I would like to remain anonymous because I want to make sure that nothing happens to my child, but I am very concerned about some things that I saw on social media from one of your teachers named, I already forgot her name. I'm wondering if there's anything that you're going to do about this, because frankly, I don't feel comfortable with my children being within 100 yards of this woman, let alone in a situation where she has any kind of power over them. I think I might just pull my kids out of the school if something doesn't happen." And sure enough, that woman got placed on leave. And that's another thing. You have to make sure in the case of a school setting that they don't just get placed on leave. There's nothing you can do. All right. Oh, geez. Fuck him. Is my stream fucking up right now? I hope not. I hope my stream ain't fucking up right now. Anyway. I know you guys will let me know if my stream's fucking up, but that's an example of the way that you have to utilize a phone zap. That is what that is called. It's called a phone zap, right? If you utilize that along with even 10 to 15 other people, it doesn't even have to be 100 people. It does not even have to be 100 people, right? If you utilize that tactic with even 10 or 15 other people, they will get tired and they will get scared very, very quickly, right? And I actually called a business today at you see the reason I ask is because my stream went from like 38 down to like fucking like 18 or 20 or whatever, like really quick. And now it's back up to 26 on one of them. So I was like, uh-oh, is my stream like not like is it not working? Am I choppy? Is the audio screwed up? Is what's going on here? When I see that sudden drop, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here we fucking go. But anyway, I called, I believe it was in like Minnesota or something like that earlier today. I called a restaurant. I called a restaurant in Minnesota because one of their servers, I believe it was, or something like that, one of their employees was also making some really bad remarks. And I called one place and I didn't get an answer, and they didn't set up their mailbox, which I have a feeling they have a voicemail box that was set up, and they just decided that they would like reset it so that you cannot receive voicemails in it anymore. Because when I called the other one, I didn't get an answer. An answering machine picked up, but the mailbox was full. So, Oh, excuse me. iPhone Meat says, did anyone else just get sent to Ninja's stream? Really? Is that what happened to iPhone Meat? Did my view count like drop suddenly because people got automatically sent to Ninja's stream? That'd be the weirdest thing, because I was at 38 and then it started dropping a little bit with like a really sudden drop within the last like couple of minutes, And then now I'm back up to 34, as if people were like, what the fuck? What am I doing at Ninja's stream? And then they went back, That's really weird. But anyway, Write a note and say it's from your 9-year-old daughter about how she is scared to enter into your store after the comments she saw on Discord. Yeah, like literally, you have to be willing to be aggressive, and I don't mean aggressive in a physical way. I don't even mean aggressive in like a you better fire them. You have to be aggressive in a way where you're like, no, I know that I'm going to be potentially getting this person fired from their job, and that's okay because that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I need. You know. Um, this is pressure politics. We were doing the same thing back before the right, like not to sit here and be that asshole, but like if I'm being honest with you, um, and you can ask Arie too. Like everything we were doing back when we were in the activist sphere is stuff that the right is finally just starting to understand now. You know, we started projects where the goal was to try and link the most like troublemaking leftists in the area to jobs that we could then call up and be like, hey, you know, this guy is like brandishing weapons against people, right? You know what they get up to in their spare time. Like that's something we did for a long time, you know. And I know I'm that asshole right now who's like, I did it before it was cool. But you have two choices. One, you can keep getting bonked on the head, or two, you can take the bonking instrument. You can take the club and you can start doing the bonking. And me and my guys, we were in the latter camp. A lot of people for a long time were in the former camp, you know? Like, I'm the guy you want to listen to about this thing. And again, I know, I'm being that asshole. Oh, fucking dude, I would I was getting people fired when you were shitting in your diapers. Yeah, I know how it sounds, but there's a truth to it, you know? Fucking online leftism has gotten so bad it's bled into the real world and it's scary. They call for killings. It's gross. Exactly. And the reason why they do that is because they've never had to deal with that kind of thing in the first place, you know? Excuse me. They've never had to deal with somebody calling their work to say, "Hey, this guy said he wanted this guy dead." You know, like when we first got started, Antifa was wearing masks, and then they realized that the Boston police weren't going to do anything, and that we weren't going to do anything, meaning we weren't going to get them in trouble and fired from their jobs or kicked out of their colleges and stuff like that. So they stopped wearing masks. You saw a lot of them who would have their faces uncovered at rallies and protests. When we started our project to start trying to link them to schools and jobs and stuff like that, so that people could call those places and be like, hey, you know what this guy's doing and saying? All of a sudden, they start wearing masks again. You have to make them afraid. And I don't mean afraid for their lives or anything like that. You have to make them afraid for their livelihoods. You have to make them afraid that if something happens, they're going to end up, they're gonna feel it. You know, they're gonna fucking feel it. You know, Jenkem Alchemist, what's 6.5 out of 10? I'm curious what you mean. Anyway, I hate the NYC candidate that is a Muslim and communist. I don't want him to get shot in the neck. Exactly. You know, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. You know, um, it sucks, man. You know, it sucks. Um, I got bullied for my conservative views in my high school. They called me Nazi McFatty and fat shit fascist. Wow, that's pretty crazy, smart moron. Oh boy, that's insane. Fuck that. These people want us dead, man. What option do we have? Hide or war? Exactly. You can either hide or you can fight back. And me personally, I've always been a fighter. You know, again, not to be that asshole, but like my entire life, I've just dealt with people who want to try and bully me in one way or another. My biggest bullies were my parents. You know, I constantly had to have it out with them all the fucking time. You know, like it's not that hard. Conflict is not that big of a deal. It's not something you have to be afraid of all the time. You know, it's something that is really really easy to deal with. But a lot of people are a little with it, you know. But anyway, it's sad, man. I cried seeing Charlie's wife putting out a statement today. Speaking of which, Scott should just burp into the mic. I will. But yes, this is her right here. Okay. We are going to go ahead. We're going to watch it. It is a little over 15 minutes long. Okay. Only an hour in. Only an hour in. But Let's go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Erika Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice. I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life, and the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days. And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, for all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well. My heart is with every one of my husband's employees who lost a friend and a mentor. I want to thank the staffers of his amazing Charlie Kirk show, who helped him broadcast from this studio, this chair. Every day he loved it. He loved what he did. I want to thank the millions of people who have shown their love for Charlie here in Phoenix, across America, and worldwide. I want to thank my husband's dear friend, Vice President Vance, and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well, bringing him home. You both are tremendous. I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family for the same. Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. He did. Your friendship was amazing. You supported him so well, as did he for you.
I just want to say I'm going to try to avoid pausing this too much. I want to watch it.
My husband, Charlie,
through,
went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. And one of the final conversations that he had on this earth, my husband witnessed for his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. He loved nature, which helped him always bring him closer to God. He loved the Chicago Cubs. And my goodness, did he love the Oregon Ducks. Want me to say go Ducks, so I have to since they play on Saturday. So go Ducks. But most of all, Charlie loved his children, and he loved me with all of his heart, and I knew that. Every day I knew that. He made sure I knew that every day. Every day he would ask me, how can I serve you better? How can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? Every day. Every day. He was such a good man. He still is a good man. He was the perfect father. He was the perfect husband. Charlie always believed that God's design for marriage and the family was absolutely amazing, and it is. It is, and it was the greatest joy of his life. And over, he would tell all these young people to come and find their future spouse, become wives and husbands and parents. And the reason why is because he wanted you all to experience what he had and still has. He wanted everyone to bring heaven into this earth through love and joy that comes from raising a family. It's beautiful. Charlie always said that if he ever ran for office, I know a lot of you asked if he ever was going to, but privately he told me if he ever did run for office that his top priority would be to revive the American family. That was his priority. One of Charlie's favorite Bible verses was Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart. I honestly have no idea what any of this means. I know that God does, but I don't. But Charlie, baby, I know you do too. I know you do. So does our Lord. And our world is filled with evil. But our God, you guys, our God is so good. He's so incredibly good. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Already I have seen the worldwide outpouring of love for my husband. I've heard the testimonies from people my husband inspired to get married, to start families, to seek out a relationship with God. It's the most important one of all. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. My husband's mission will not end, not even for a moment. And one of Charlie's greatest talents was his ability, this phenomenal ability to choose great people to follow him. He could always find the ones who could handle any setback. And it's almost like he knew. He could see it in you. Even when you couldn't see it in yourself, he just knew. He knew you could handle it. You thought you only had 5% left, and he knew you had 15. He knew you were ready to go that extra mile even when you didn't. He always challenged people around him to work harder and to be better. He never gave up. And I love knowing that one of his mottos was never surrender. So I want to tell you that we'll never surrender. We never will. Ever. Ever. Our campus tour this fall will continue. There will be even more tours in the years to come. America Fest here in Phoenix this December will go on. It will be greater than ever. The radio and podcast show that he was so proud of will go on. And in a world filled with chaos, doubt, and uncertainty, my husband's voice will remain. And it will ring out louder and more clearly than ever. And his wisdom will endure. My favorite too, but my husband's favorite word in the English language was earn. He would call all of you to be people of action who earn the future America deserves. So to all of the young people who felt inspired by my husband's faith and hard work, all of you already know what Charlie would want you to do. You know. You know. If you're in high school or if you're in college, go find your local Turning Point USA chapter. Join it. Stay involved. He wants you to make a difference. And you can. You can. The movement's not going anywhere, and it will only grow stronger when you join it. If there isn't a chapter, you can't find one, then start one. There is no excuse. You can start one. And as my husband used to say in this room, every single day, if you want to get involved, the best way you can do that is going to tpusa.com. That's what he would say every day from this chair. Every single day. I watched his show every day, and he would always say, if you want to get involved, go to tpusa.com. If you're a pastor, join our movement at TPUSA Faith. And if you're a parent, I highly recommend that you come to America Fest in December. Sign up right now for that because we would love to see you. I would love to see you. Charlie would. He'll be there. He'll be there in spirit. Bring your kids, bring your family. But most important of all, if you aren't a member of a church, I beg you to join one. A Bible-believing church. Our battle is not simply a political one. Above all, it is spiritual. It is spiritual. The spiritual warfare is palpable. Charlie loved his Savior with all of his heart, and he wanted every one of you to know him too. He wanted everyone to know that if they confess the Lord Jesus Christ who rose from the dead, then they will be saved. Hear me when I say this, nobody is ever too young to know the gospel. Nobody. Nobody is ever too young to get involved with saving this beautiful country. This country my husband loved and still loves. And nobody is ever too old either. There's no age limit. I know my husband is still here. He's watching over us. I don't remember the last time I slept. I couldn't sleep last night. And Charlie, baby. Charlie, I promise I will never let your legacy die, baby. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. I promise. Oh, Charlie, I love you. I love you, baby. Rest in the arms of our Lord as he blankets you with the words I know your heart always strived to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, Mommy, I missed you. I said, I miss you too, baby. She goes, where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget. And my goodness, am I so humbled to witness, Charlie, you alongside Jesus right now, doing what you always want to do, baby. Making heaven crowded, right? That's what it's all about. Making heaven crowded. I can't wait to see you again one day. Thank you all again who love my husband, who supported him, who wrote him an email every single day during his radio show. He read all of them. All of them. God bless you all. And may God bless America.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me again. I muted my mic for most of that. I didn't want to interrupt it and say anything because there really wasn't anything for me to say over what she had to say. First things first. That is a that was a very strong thing that she did. She is very strong for what she did there. Not even, well, I mean, what's it been, like 48 hours or so? A little over 48 hours since the murder of her husband, that I am pretty sure she was there for, because I guess the kids were there. So who else would they have been with other than the mother? Erika. For her to come out so early and make a statement like this is, I think that is a testament to her character. I think that is a testament to her grit and her will. And respectable is the least of what you could say about that. She is about the only person that you would really understand if they didn't have anything to say right now, but she had something to say, and what she had to say is even more respectable because of the fact that it wasn't a call for unity or anything like that. It wasn't necessarily like a "this is war" thing, but it definitely wasn't a call for unity. And even then, I mean, it's not like she said this means war, but she also said, look, like, you guys are not going to win, what you did will only make us stronger, even if you took my husband from me, is essentially what she was trying to imply. And then she said that she was not going to be deterred, that they weren't going to be canceling anything that didn't need to be canceled, and they were going to have I forget exactly what their big gathering was going to be in December. I forget what they called that. But man, it is refreshing to see somebody, especially a woman. Like the big moment for me was that moment where she was like, look, like, you guys have no idea what you did. You only made us you only made it worse on yourselves. It is refreshing from an outsider's perspective looking in to see her do that, because it's like I said, with Austin Metcalf, for instance. I used that example earlier. He sat there like, oh, well, they wouldn't want, hey, Austin wouldn't want it to be about race. We can't be making it about race. All these people who care about the race are losers and stuff like that, you have a lot of people out there who, through cowardice, they call for unity, and that's really what it is cowardice. In the movie Saving Private Ryan, there's a character named Upham, right? And he is a very pivotal character in the movie. And he has mercy on a German soldier that they were going to kill because they couldn't take a prisoner along with them. They really had no choice other than to kill the guy. And Upham convinces the rest of his platoon, I assume, is what you would call that group of guys that went to try and literally save Private Ryan. He convinces them to let the German soldier go. And that German soldier was supposed to, on his honor, go and find a U.S. column and turn himself in. But of course, he didn't do that. And eventually in the final battle, I'm pretty sure it was the same soldier. Maybe it wasn't the same soldier. I'm not 100% sure. But there was also a moment where he allows another German soldier, or maybe it was the same soldier, like I said, to kill one of his comrades. He knows what's going on in there. He knows his comrade needs help, but he's just so afraid to go up there and potentially have to kill somebody that he allows his friend to be killed. And they try to bring it back around, like he has his moment where he finally is able to rise to the occasion, and that's supposed to be good. But the fact of the matter is, he talked his platoon into letting somebody go who just went straight back to the German line and immediately started fighting again. He allowed one of his friends to die. He was right outside the room. He was in the cuck chair, practically watching his friend die, And the fact of the matter is, Upham was a coward, and he was hiding behind morality. A lot of people will try and mask their cowardice behind morality because they don't want to feel uncomfortable. The discomfort of conflict, the discomfort of whether it's a physical or an emotional or mental or spiritual or whatever kind of fight it is, they just don't want to feel the discomfort of that conflict. And because of that, they put themselves in spots where even though somebody was literally just murdered in cold blood, they say, hey, we need to come together in this country. We need to come together in this country. We need to stop hurting each other. It's bullshit. So good on her for everything regarding this, but especially one having the strength to speak so soon after it happened. I don't even think Charlie is dead. I don't even think Charlie is buried yet. Excuse me. I think his body is still above ground. They probably are they probably are doing some kind of like preparation for a funeral or something like that right now, But being able to speak so soon after it happened, and then on top of that, also the lack of cowardice in calling for unity are the things that are the most commendable for me, in my opinion, on this. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop allowing them to kill us and then being like, it's okay. Because this is not the first time that kind of thing has happened. Every few years, something like this happens. It's just that it usually doesn't happen to somebody who is as well known as Charlie Kirk. Every few years, a right-wing somebody gets shot and killed, or some other fucked up thing happens. And the left will pretend like they want to unify and stuff like that. But what it really is if I smacked you upside the head, and then after you recovered from that smack, you were like, oh, we're fighting? And I was like, whoa, hey, man, hey, dude, my bad. Hey, put her there, my bad. I shouldn't have done that, put her there. And then 5 minutes later, I smack you again. That's what the left is trying to do. That's their way of trying to win a war, because we are in a war right now, is to throw a punch, a sucker punch, and when we get back up off the ground, like, oh, we're fucking going now? Oh, all right, fantastic. I was waiting for this. They go, whoa, hey, let's not, whoa, hey, dude, take it easy, bro. Look, hey, put her there. Let's take it easy, dude. Let's unite. Hey, this is not cool, man. We need a little bit of unity in this country, It's gross, And I'm aware that everybody's a little bit different. You have some people on the right who are like, we need to unify. You have some people on the left who are saying the same thing. And then you have other people on the left who are like, fuck Charlie Kirk. He deserved it. I get that there's different camps and things like that. But what I'm specifically referring to are the people who are trying to pretend as though they actually give a fuck, as though there is actually some form of morality that they hold. It's not morality, it's cowardice. The people on the right who say that kind of thing, they just don't want to be in a situation where they have to get a little uncomfortable and they have to stand up and say, no, fuck you. And then the people on the left who are saying that, they know that they just got away with something really, really fucking big. And they're hoping that they can talk everybody who is on the right down before they swing a big stick, is what's going on. You know, that's what they're trying to do. It's disgusting. It's awful, you know, and we cannot allow that to happen. Now, I want to say I'm not calling for violence here. I'm not calling for any kind of like, you know, like remain non-violent in what you do. There's a bunch of different ways that you can affect things in a positive way. You can move the needle and everything like that. You don't need to be like planning on beating the fuck out of people. You should not do that. Now, self-defense is one thing. I'm going to show you something that happened. It is, yes. So this happened at a vigil. Boom. Kicked him in the butt. Literally kicked his ass. This is for those of you that don't know, this is a candlelight vigil that was being held for Charlie Kirk. That guy right there came with the explicit intent of starting trouble, and he got it. You know, I mean, listen to this, right? Listen to this, right? So he came with the intention of starting trouble, and he got more than what he bargained for. I'm not even saying like this is okay. I'm just saying that I'm not going to look at this and be like, those guys shouldn't have did. Hey, that wasn't cool, guys. This guy got what he wanted. I don't have to feel bad for him. You know, he knew what he was doing, putting on that backpack, riding in on the green bike, whatever the hell you call those things, and starting to talk shit. You know, he knew what he was trying to do. You see, this guy getting beat up is on the police, because the police should not allow this guy to come in there purposefully trying to agitate in the way that he is. I don't think this is free speech in this case, if I'm being completely and totally honest with you. I think this is a guy who is purposefully trying to start shit, you know? And I've been around plenty of situations where we've been doing far less than this, and yet the cops still accost us and try and do something to us. But they allow this guy to do what he's doing, and they only jump in when he starts getting his ass beat. He deserved it, you know? I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying that it should have happened. What I'm saying is, don't feel bad for this guy, because he deserved it. He 1,000,000% deserved it, you know? He literally, he got beat out of his shoes. He's missing a shoe. That is how bad this dude's ass is getting beat. See, and again, this is all on the police. This is all on the police. They need to be pushing this guy out, you know? They need to be saying, "Hey, get the fuck out of here," you know? Beat his ass and say Jesus loves you. That's hilarious. Ooh, Big Bertha.
free speech, y'all came with this. Hey, 30, 40 mother. Give me the ones, baby. Shoot the ones with me, anybody.
Look at this embarrassment.
All y'all.
Protecting you that you
Charlie Kirk! Charlie Kirk!
Look at this guy. You're a piece of
Come with it.
You're protecting your dad.
No, I don't believe in these motherfuckers.
What do you
Believe
guys
that.
think of that?
Believe that. No,
You're
believe
that?
that. I didn't ask for no help.
You're that
I didn't ask for no help.
You're
Y'all
that
were you asked for help. You got
You're
yeah,
that
you think I asked for help?
Yo. He got the pole on him.
You got you think I asked for help? Hey, asked for them, all these motherfuckers wouldn't. Oh, yeah. Old man.
I'll whip your ass. Yeah, that worked out real well for you earlier, bud. You see again, this is the police's fault. They should be arresting this guy, or at the very least being like, yo, you need to leave, and if we see you again, we're going to arrest you, you know? He's inciting violence. He specifically went there to incite violence. There is two types of inciting violence. There is one, hey, we should do X to Y person. And then there's B, hey, fuck you. Go ahead and hit me. Go ahead and hit me. Go ahead. You gonna hit me? What are you, a pussy? Hit me. Hit me. There's two methods of inciting violence, and the left specifically loves to use the latter to incite violence, and that's what this guy is doing, you know?
You're a sellout. You are a sellout. You ain't Mexican. You ain't Mexican.
Saying whatever he wants, now that he knows the police are there and he's safe, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, I don't know if they arrested this guy or not. But he needs a bail fund if they did. If they arrested him and they plan on charging him, or if he does need some kind of bail fund, like we need to figure out who this guy is, and we need to get him a bail fund. That's the way that this kind of thing works. Is like, again, I'm not condoning violence necessarily, but also I don't think this guy deserves to be locked up for doing what he did to that guy who was asking for it. All he did was give that guy what he wanted, you know? So you can see this guy's getting arrested now. Ooh, Big Bertha. Big Bertha, everybody. Going for the de-arrest. Purple hair. Is that a Jew thing or an Arab thing? I'm not sure. Shut the fuck up, you fucking whale. Anyway, yes, that's pretty much how this ended, right? Look, I'm not saying you should do what happened here, right? Like if somebody comes in, you should just go to the police and be like, look, something bad's gonna happen if you don't remove that guy. Like, you should definitely grab him and bring him over there at the very least, or better yet, because he's trying to incite violence here, you should tell him to leave. And if he doesn't leave, you should arrest him, because something bad will happen if you don't do that. And I'm just trying to avoid something bad happening. I'm not saying it's going to be me. What I'm saying is I know that this crowd is probably not going to be a very friendly crowd to anybody who is coming in yelling, fuck Charlie Kirk. So please do the right thing and make sure nothing bad happens. They could have did that. Like I said, I'm not going to punch right on this and be like, hey, that wasn't cool. Hey, that wasn't cool, guys. Non-violence. Keep it peaceful. Non-violence. That guy knew what he wanted, and he got what he wanted. So, you're welcome. You're welcome, you fucking bald asshole, you know? But overall, where do we go from here? Right? Where do we go from here? What we need is a multifaceted approach that is going to be all-encompassing, right? And this is not going to be for the Renaissance men, though Renaissance men are going to be needed. And what I mean by that is you're not going to be able to be the guy who's out on the street organizing and the thought leader. There's going to be people who are more boots on the ground. There's going to be people who are more thought leaders. There's going to be like Nick Fuentes types. There's going to be types like me. I was a boots on the ground type of guy. I was a street activist for years. When I say boots on the ground, obviously I mean like, free speech, First Amendment, not anything like, violent or anything like that. There's going to be people who need to run right-wing gay ops, if I'm just being honest with you. There's going to be people who they have to be really good and really vigilant about the left wing getting froggy, talking about Charlie deserved it, and figuring out where those people work and calling up those places and things like that. Phone zaps. There's going to have to be people who are able to organize rallies and stuff like that, like, say, Turning Point USA. Not that TPUSA, like, here's the thing. Charlie Kirk dying is a tragedy, and I fully 100% support his widow moving forward with his plan for TPUSA and stuff like that. But TPUSA is not my thing. I don't align with those guys. But Turning Point USA is a good example of organizing, rally holding, campaigning, and other stuff like that, right? It's going to not just be one thing. People say, oh, voting, we can't vote our way out of this. And you know what? I think you're correct, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. I think, and then there's some people who are like, hey man, what does protesting do? I mean, yeah, standing around with signs doesn't do that much, but I'm not saying that it's not something we shouldn't do, right? If you take a look at the left, which has been winning the culture war up until maybe a couple years ago, and even then, the right wing popping up and starting to win, I don't know if that's an actual cultural shift or if it's something like the 80s, where there was kind of like a short period of time in the 80s where all of a sudden conservative values were in, and people were like, yeah, America, fuck commies and all this other stuff. And then the 70s and the 90s were both eras where, like, the real culture took effect and things like that. Regardless, right? Like, the right wing might be doing pretty good right now, but that doesn't mean we're going to be doing good tomorrow. It doesn't mean we're going to be doing good in a year, 5 years, 10 years, etc., right? We need to prolong this as best we can by using a variety of different tactics. So if you're someone who doesn't think voting doesn't work very well, fine, don't vote, but don't tell other people not to vote. If you're someone who thinks that standing out in the street with signs is stupid, don't stand out in the street with signs, but don't tell people it's stupid and they shouldn't do it. Right? Anything and everything we can do, we should be doing. And it's kind of a situation where the commies were pre-built for this because they have that MO, that modus operandi, whatever it is, that goes from each according to his ability to each according to his need. Excuse me. That's the guiding force, the guiding principle that helped them to win the culture war, because you had people who, they were musicians and they would make left-wing coded music, and that left-wing coded music would explode because some fucking guy who happened to be a left-winger, well, he may not be a very good musician, but he has inroads into the music industry, so he's able to get these left-wing coded bands into the music industry in a way that a right-wing coded band would not be able to. Did you guys know there's a whole genre of anti-communist rock and roll out there? It's called Rock Against Communism, RAC. Did you have any idea that existed? Probably not. Probably fucking not. Because it wasn't getting played on the radio. And unless you knew where to look, you wouldn't find it. You can look it up. I could give you bands, But you had situations like that. You had people who their big autistic fixation was voting. And even though you had other people who on the left were like, I don't think we're voting our way out of this, you didn't see as much bullshit about, those guys are idiots thinking we can vote our way out of this. Don't vote. Voting's stupid. You didn't have as much of that. You have those kinds of infighting sort of situations, don't get me wrong, but they're not as bad. They're not as damaging to the left. And that's how they were able to take over the culture, was that they became the only piece. That's how entryism works. They infiltrate and they become the gatekeepers. The only way you can get music is to listen to left-wing bands because, they played left-wing bands on the radio. The only way you can appreciate art is to go to some left-wing curated museum where they have shit smeared on a wall, and that's supposed to be the message is supposed to be that life is shit because capitalism, you know? Like, I'm doing that thing where I feel like you guys probably get what I'm saying, but I'm not explaining it exactly the way that I would like to explain it, so I'm kind of mad at myself right now. But what I'm trying to say is, whatever you're doing, do more of it, unless it's something that is illegal that will get you put in prison. Okay? If you're a guy who you think holding signs is going to be a good thing, do it. And don't shit on the guy who thinks voting is going to help because you don't think voting is going to help. Unify with him. Solidarity, right? Show a little bit of solidarity with that person in resisting left-wing tyranny. That's what you have to do, you know? No, I get it, Scott says sleepy. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that, you know? I'm now more likely to wear a magazine hat after all. Oh, a MAGA hat after this. A MAGA hat after this. Nerd Mangler says build networks. Yes, build networks. And that's another thing that I was going to touch on is you need to build networks of like-minded people, and you need to be able to function in those networks, right? And I talk about musicians and stuff like that, right? You need to create culture by and for those networks that will be enjoyed within the network and will be spread outside of the network, right? And those people who are creating culture, it's not just about creating music, right? You might have someone who creates a really good song about not being fucking trans or whatever, right? You might have someone who makes a song that's really catchy, it's really good. You're also going to need people who review music so that they can do a review of the song, much in the way that Fantano does, right? You need award shows that will give that song, that artist who made the song, an award, right? You need infrastructure and you need meta. You need a meta, right? And when I say a meta, I don't even mean like a meta like, oh, this is how you play the game. This is the tactic. This is the strat that people are using. What I mean is you need things that go beyond that. You know, you need not just the guy who makes the music or the guy who makes the movie, but you need the guy who reviews the music of the movie. You need the guy who he takes an amalgamation of all of the music, or, you know, the greatest hits of all the music and all the movies that were released that year, and he gives out an award to what he or what people voted for as the best music or movie that year, right? You need people who will do interviews with those people who are doing the music and the movies and stuff like that. It's not just as simple as like you have to learn how to play a guitar and things like that. You have to learn how to shoot with fucking an FX3 or whatever they call that shit. It's not even just that, and that's a good thing, because me personally, like, I'll be honest with you, back when I used to get high on weed all the time, I tried writing raps. I would get high as fuck, I'd write some shit, I'd sober up, I'd read it, and I would want to hang myself. I would want to throw myself off of a fucking building, you know, because that's how bad they were and that's how embarrassed I was. I'm not a musical guy. So me personally, I'm not going to be Mr. Music. I'm not going to be Mr. Yo, Jesus rocks, yo. That's not going to be me, you know. But I mean, I do like music a lot, and I can kind of formulate why I like certain songs, what makes them interesting and what makes them good to me. So I could be somebody who reviews the music, you know. Yo. Fucking anyway. I also think continuing to lean into being a party of physical health is important for optics. Being a party of dyed hair, gay, fatties, and transgenders is about the worst it can be for your party. Yes, 100%, big boss. You know, if I could sum up what I'm trying to say, it's we need a multifaceted response that is going to create a wide window for people to get into the changing of the culture, right? We're going to need a whole host of different people, from the people who make the movies to the people who review the movies to the people who create magazines or newsletters or YouTube channels where they interview the creators of the movies, to the people who do the award shows for the movies. We're going to need people who are comfortable with holding signs out in public, who are comfortable with self-defense training. That's something I'm going to touch on in a second, because I wanted its own separate little piece, because I'm a self-defense guy. But you need people who are willing to vote. You need people who are not willing to vote. You need people who are willing to make YouTube channels where they talk about stuff, figureheads. You need propaganda masters. Excuse me. You need a whole host of people. So because of that, we need to stop looking at ourselves thinking that guy's an idiot. He thinks we can vote our way out of this situation. That guy's an idiot. He thinks we can, be peaceful and this, that, the other thing. You need to stop looking at those guys who are on your side, who believe the same thing that you believe for the most part. But maybe there's like 2 to 4 degrees of deviation from your ideal. And you need to stop looking at that guy and being like, you fucking suck, I hate you. You need to stop it, We have, via this martyr that was practically gifted to us in this case. I'm not saying it was a good thing. It's like I said in my last stream. I would rather have Charlie Kirk than a martyr. I would rather have Charlie Kirk alive and well than Charlie Kirk dead and being able to use his death for martyrdom to rally people, right? I would rather have the first. But we need to utilize this to unite and move forward in a way that is going to steamroll the left so that they no longer have that control of the culture, Now, when it comes to you personally, what can you do? And I don't even mean necessarily moving the needle or anything like that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, how can you ensure your survival in the everyday world as things continue to heat up? Because that is something that happened, is when Charlie Kirk got shot, the thermostat got turned up by another 5 to 10 degrees, and it was already kind of hot in here to begin with. You need to understand the reality of what happened to Charlie and what could happen to you, okay? Charlie was assassinated because he was a figurehead, all right? Unless you're Nick Fuentes, even Sam, for instance. Sam isn't exactly going on tour or anything like that, right? But if Sam was going on tour, then yeah, he should probably look over his shoulder a little bit every now and again. Same thing with Nick, same thing with other people. I mean, Nick had an attempt on his life, right? Nick has had multiple people show up to his house. Those are the kinds of people that could potentially get assassinated, right? You, the random guy who watches Nick Fuentes on YouTube, you're probably not going to be the target of a political assassination. Even someone like me, right? But what you can be the target of is random violence from somebody who left the house that day thinking, you know what, I'm going to kill me a white boy. I'm going to kill me a white bitch. You can be the target of someone like that. You need to be aware that you will have a target on your back. And you need to, 1, know how to avoid threats. And 2, you need to be willing to defend yourself. Right? You shouldn't be paranoid. You shouldn't be like, That's not what I'm telling you to do. What I'm saying is just recognize where the world is going and recognize that, yeah, there is a chance. It's slim to none, but there is still a chance. And learn how to fight. That is the best advice that I personally can give you. And of course, I'm Mr. MMA guy, so I'm totally going to say, yeah, you should fight. I'm even considering, because I actually know a guy who is I used to train this guy, and I used to train with this guy. He is actually the vice president of his TPUSA chapter. I didn't even know until I hit him up. I knew that he was affiliated with them, but I didn't know he was a vice president of the chapter at his school. But I am considering hitting him up and being like, look, if you guys want self-defense training, I'll do it for cheap. We'll do like $20 a head or something like that, and like you guys can keep a portion of it or whatever, But learning how to fight is one of the best things that you can do in this world today for multiple reasons. The most obvious example being that it's a lot easier for you to not end up getting hurt or killed by somebody who has bad intentions if you know how to keep your hands up and throw a nice 1-2, or if you have the confidence to be able to protect yourself in whatever way you have to, right? But then in addition to that, it also makes you a little bit calmer, and it makes you a little bit less quick to be angry about stuff, you know? Me personally, like, obviously I am angry about the Charlie Kirk situation. However, there is a calmness that I contain. I am calm. I am not acting irrationally. I am not being crazy about it. You don't see me on Twitter like, war! You don't see me like that, because I understand that the last thing that you need to do in a situation like this is start losing your head. Just like the last thing you need to do in a situation where somebody's trying to kill you on a bus or a train is lose your head, figuratively and literally, right? You need to remain calm, you need to remain sober, you need to remain measured. You need to understand how to move around and what the best course of action is going to be. And when you are comfortable with physical combat, it translates into a lot of different things. Because, I mean, yeah, sure, Charlie Kirk got shot, and there's a lot of leftists who are, you know, taking the piss, as a blimey Brit might say. But it's not like I'm getting hit in the face right now. So even though, yes, that does irk me, I do find it to be disturbing, there's no reason for me to react in an emotional way. Because for one thing, that's what they want in the first place. That's exactly what they want in the first place. They want you seething, they want you angry, and they want you making bad decisions. They want you saying things that they can then turn around and either be like, rightoid mad, or that they can be like, you see, they're so violent. They're so violent. I said Charlie Kirk deserved it, and that guy said he was going to kick my ass. Why is the right so violent? Haha. They want that kind of thing, so don't give it to them, you know? It's not just about, like, I know the meme among some of the fish tank community is that I'm calling for white gangs and stuff like that. I get it. Like, it sounds weird when I say, hey, if you got some friends and some guy tries to jump one of your friends, like, don't let that guy jump your friends, beat the fuck out of that guy, right? Like I know what that sounds like, but that's not even what I mean. What I mean is, you have to, if you're going to survive in this world that is just becoming more and more dangerous, it's becoming more and more divided, and the people who are doing the most to stoke that division are not interested in talking. In order to survive in this world, you have to be willing to throw hands at somebody who is trying to come at you. And if your friend is getting attacked, you can't be like, oh, well, hey, man, hey, let's not fight. You got to be like, oh, fuck, my boy's getting the hands right now. I better pull this guy off him, you know, at the very least. It's just, you know, there's a lot of people out there who, they're shills, they're people who are leftists and things like that, or they're just nihilists, you know. Learn to identify nihilists, right? That's another thing too. Now that I think of it, but like the original point that I was trying to make is that there's a lot of people out there who are going to be trying to sow division in the right wing. The right wing needs to unify around the basic tenets of, let's not let the left wing win. We can hash out any and all disagreements after that. But as for now, the right wing needs to put aside its petty differences, and it needs to come together. You know, somebody said, I forget who was saying it a second ago, but somebody said something about purity spiraling. I was going to read it in a second, but unfortunately I can't find it right this second. But yes, like, stop purity spiraling. Oh yes, Bob says the right also needs to stop purity spiraling, like when the Christ cucks shit talk pagans and vice versa. Yeah. Like, these are important things, but are they that important as to where we are going to let people who want us both dead kill us? That way neither of us are right? Why don't we make sure the left wing isn't in a position to kill us, and then we can hash out these differences? Just saying, right? But what I was also saying is, beware of nihilists. Now, this, if I'm being 100% honest with you, this is a revelation that I had about the Fish Tank Live community. The Fish Tank world, from what I've seen, they love when Sam gets on the fucking stream and he starts dropping N bombs. They love edgy humor. They love all this like, aha, yeah, let's pour milk on the fat woman. Let's fuck with this guy. Let's do that. They love the edgy humor and stuff like that, but simply for the fact that it is edgy. They have no actual true convictions. And I mean, with a show like Fish Tank, it's like, well, what would you expect? A lot of people come to watch Fish Tank because they want to see suffering and cruelty, and they get angry when they don't get that, right? But like, this isn't even about like trying to take the fucking Fish Tank fan base to task or anything like that. But what you see is people who, when it's bothering somebody, when that's all it is just bothering somebody. When it's just Sam on camera trying to fuck with somebody, they're like, haha, yeah, say that hard R. They're like that, right? When Sam starts making fun of like trans people or something like that, they're like, yeah, fuck them, ha ha ha, yeah. But when Sam is on Twitter, or when I'm on Twitter, or when somebody else is on Twitter, and the right wing rhetoric is being thrown out by us, and it's actual sober, like, hey, this is the world, this is how we got to deal with it, plan and behave accordingly, all of a sudden a lot of these people are like, dude, why is he being a grifter? Dude, what the fuck? He's such a grifter, dude. Dude, he doesn't actually think that. He's a grifter. Or, dude, why does he think that? He's being a fucking grifter right now. He's being such a fucking dude. What a fucking idiot, dude. Dude, he's just trying to ride a trend right now. It's, yeah, cause Sam up until fucking 6 months ago was a shit lib, totally. Because up until 4 to 6 months ago, I was a shit lib, totally. Yeah, fucking. You have to beware of the nihilists, because you'll think they're on your side, but then like they won't even be the leftist. They won't even be the peacenik type guys. They won't even be the, hey, we gotta unite type guys. They'll literally be the, dude, actual convictions, that's cringe. Dude, just say the N-word and shut up. You know? When you have actual convictions, those nihilists are like, dude, why are you grifting? It's so foolish, you know? Anyway, Lord Gygas says, hell yeah, man, mirth, yeah. I gotta talk to Charles again, man. Like, I don't know if he'll answer me. I'm sure I could get in touch with him if I wanted to, but that's somebody who I haven't like spoken to one-on-one, that I really have to speak to about like the state of the world and stuff like that, you know? I think he would be good to talk to for a couple of different reasons, and I think he and I, like I've said it before, I think he and I are on the same wavelength, and that's why every now and again, if we end up around each other, it's a little awkward, because I think we're both waiting for the other person to say something, because we're like, I'm like, oh, Charles, cool, I'm sure he'll have something important to say, I should shut up and listen, you know? And then it ends up being, hey man, what's up? Nothing. You know? But anyway, I liked all of Fish Tank, but yeah, some of the fans are the most constantly nihilistic, always negative, super mean and hateful people I've ever seen. They all have a chip on their shoulder. Oh yeah, 100%, you know? And that's part of the reason why they didn't like me. Because there's really nothing wrong with me like that, if we're being honest here, you know? Like, I didn't go on there and, like, play a character until 2.5, that is, you know? I did play along with some of the things that I was asked to do that I typically wouldn't do, you know? But like, you know, and I made a mistake or two. You know, I took certain things too far, or I didn't take certain things as far as I should have, right? But like, I wasn't somebody who could easily be fucked with in that way. I wasn't someone like Bert who like I'm all out there and everything that I put out there is some kind of weird shit, you know? Like I saw some videos of Bert recently talking to Shoddy, you know, and she's asking Shoddy about like how big people's dicks are and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like that's why Bert is the most popular fish in Fish Tank history, is because He's a lol cow waiting to happen. You know me, I'm not that. So a lot of these nihilists were like, dude, I fucking hate him. He sucks. I fucking hate him, dude. He's so boring. He's non-tent. It's like, what does non-tent mean? I'm not someone who can be milked for fucking laughs at my expense. Like, get the fuck out of here, fucking loser. But yeah, like not even to like complain on that level, which I just did, you know. But the fish tank fan base, as much as I loved fish tank, as much as I loved the fan base, and that's where most, if not all of you come from, so I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate my time on fish tank. And I'm not saying like I wouldn't go back. It's just like I don't know what the fuck is going on with fish tank right now. So like I don't know. Will we have blood games too? I don't know. But the point that I was making is like there are a lot of people there that you'll pal around with that they laugh at the same things you laugh at, and those things are right wing coded. And because of that, you'll assume that they are on the same wavelength as you, but you're not laughing for the same reasons. They're laughing because it's mean, it's cruel, and they like seeing people who are in discomfort. You're laughing because it's like, wow, holy shit, I can't believe he's saying that. That's insane. Haha. They're laughing because they're like, yeah, good, good. And it's like, oh, 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 oh. You know, you should reach out to Charles. I feel like he would appreciate having a good talk with you. I just don't like bothering people, you know. If I reach out to somebody, I want to check in on them. Like I checked in on Brandon the other day. We didn't have like a long talk, but you know, I was just like, hey man, you seem like you're going through it. And he got back to me. You know, he told me there was some stuff going on. He didn't want to get into it. He did tell me what kind of stuff it was. I'm not going to share that with you. Obviously, that would be, you know, horrible of me. But you know, like I sent him a quick text back. He didn't get back to me. Well, that's fine. He's got shit going on, you know. When I talk to somebody, I want it to be for a good reason. I want to check in on them, and if I'm not just checking in on them, I want to have something to offer them. You know, that's mostly when I would hit Sam up over the last year. I haven't seen Sam in well over a year, and whenever I've spoken to him, it has only been like, "Hey, I have an idea. I'm throwing it your way. If you want to use it, hope everything's going well with you." I'm not being like weird or annoying about it, you know? Like I'm offering, hey, fucking I'm talking to Jason Miller. I'm trying to get him to come out here. If I get him to come out here for a thing, do you want him on your podcast? Like that type of shit, you know? You know, but I should probably just man up and talk to Charles, you know? I should probably just man up and talk to him, you know? Hopefully all your lives get better than watching Fish Tank. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, I didn't want to I didn't want this to be a Fish Tank talk, you know. It's just, you know how things are with me. I start talking about one thing and then I just kind of I veer into another subject. We are still here to talk about Charlie Kirk, obviously, and that is the main thing, and it was supposed to be the only thing we're talking about, you know. But if I could sum up the talk that I was giving to you guys, right, it would be that we do not have the time, the space, or the energy to be criticizing each other constantly, whether it's over questions of praxis or if it's questions of ideology or theory. Okay. There is room for everybody as long as they're not doing anything that is overtly illegal or anything that could bring bad stuff to themselves or to you. I think that we need to be forward looking and forward thinking. And that means we need to keep our sights on the enemy, our proverbial sights. Of course, you know what I mean by that. I don't mean anything physical, right? Anything, violent or anything like that. We need to keep our focus on battling the enemy, right? In addition to that, you personally, one of the best things you can do for yourself in general, but especially in this world that we live in where things are just getting more and more dangerous, is learn how to fight with your hands. If you can buy a gun, right? And again, not to do anything violent with necessarily, but to defend yourself and your family from people who may want to try and kill you. Legally defend yourself, of course. And just be aware. Don't be paranoid. Just be aware, right? Uh, you need to recognize that we are in a war, and part of that war is vanquishing the foe. Proverbially, like I said, nothing violent, but we cannot stop. We cannot have peace nicks, which is what the left used to call their version of the people who are like, hey man, we don't want to stoop to their level. That kind of guy. We cannot have those kinds of guys leading thought. We cannot have those kinds of guys infiltrating and poisoning the well. We have to look out for nihilists who the only thing that they were ever interested in was cruelty and suffering. We need to identify them, and we need to either kick them out or at the very least cordon them off in their own corner where they can't hurt us. We need to live the benevolence of our ideals, and we need to push a healthier society into being. We need to make sure that the direction we're going in is a good one. We cannot afford to be dragged any further into a bad direction, because now people are being killed because we have been spending all this time arguing with each other about things that they matter. Don't let me convince you that they don't matter, but they don't matter that much as to where they are pressing issues compared to the left, which is largely unified, mind you, coming at us and again, literally killing us now. And they've been killing us for years. There's been mass shooters. There's been dudes who have attacked, government facilities like ICE and stuff like that. There's even been other assassinations of not left wing, right wing activists and things like that. Jay Danielson is a great example of this. We'll go ahead and we'll look him up as well. Jay Danielson assassination. Okay. Jeez, fuck him. I forgot his real name was Aaron. On August 29th, 2020, so a little over 5 years ago at this point, Aaron Danielson, an American supporter of the far right group Patriot Prayer, was shot and killed allegedly by a far left activist. Note the allegedly. Note the allegedly. We have video of what happened here. We have video of what happened here. It took place in Portland, Oregon, and it was an ambush style attack by Antifa as he was leaving the scene of a protest. I don't even know if there was a brawl that day, you know? After participating in a caravan which drove through Portland, Oregon, displaying banners and signs supporting President Donald Trump and clashing with participants in the local George Floyd protests. Yeah, fucking right. This is Wikipedia after all. This is Wikipedia, right? On September 3rd, 2020, Danielson's suspected killer, Michael Reinhold, I forget, an American anti-fascist activist, was shot and killed by a federally led fugitive task force near Lacey, Washington. Ryan blah blah had admitted to killing Danielson in an interview shortly before his death, claiming it was in self-defense, although what's his name had followed and targeted Danielson. You see, and again, like this is a beautiful example of the kind of narrative building that these guys will utilize, and it's very similar to what they're doing with Charlie Kirk as of this moment. Is they're trying to find ways to use weasel words like allegedly. They call people far right even though they're not, right? Allegedly, even though this guy in right here had admitted to killing Danielson in an interview shortly before his death, claiming it was self-defense, although he had followed and targeted Danielson. We have video of that. I'm gonna see if you can still find the video or if it's been memory hold. Here we go. Fucking ProPublica. Fuck these guys, but still. 36 seconds before the shooting. You see, I'm wondering. Yes, you see, I was gonna say there was. I remember there was a surveillance camera. You know, here it is, right here, right. And this is ProPublica doing this. See, there's a kid around. This is ProPublica doing this too. This is not even like a right wing outlet or anything like that. You see, they specifically targeted him. That's what I remember is that they specifically were like, okay, let's see if we can get Aaron Danielson, Jay Danielson. They went down the street that they felt like he was going to go down. Once they had eyes on him, he ducked into the fucking place, and then he went down behind him, trying to fucking be like, hey, we got him, we got him. Fucking like Charlie Kirk is not the first one. He's not going to be the last one. You know, he's just going to be the most high profile one as of right now. And that's why you have to, again, learn to protect yourself. You need to learn to avoid people and avoid things like that, you know? If Jay recognized who was in front of him, which I find it hard to believe that he did not. He is by this time, a seasoned member of Patriot Prayer who was not like Joey Gibson was. Joey Gibson was one of those guys who was like, hey, I'm here, but I don't fight people. I don't like to fight people. Jay Danielson was cool with fighting people, as you could see. There's no way he didn't see that guy in front of him and realize, okay, this is an Antifa dude. I should probably avoid him to the best of my ability, right? Like if look, I could sit here and pick this apart, right? You guys already know everything that I would say to pick this apart and stuff like that, but the bottom line is you got to be willing to fight, and you got to be willing to try and avoid fights as well, right? You gotta recognize, okay, that's a threat. I should avoid him. I should not go through or near that guy unless I absolutely positively have to. You know, Portland is Nineveh. Yep, Portland is bad. It is a pretty bad. You know, rat fuck says Nerd Mangler. Oh yes, 100%. You know. Excuse me. But it's you know, T Free 727. Charlie tried his best to do it all within the framework, and they still killed him. Yes, you know, because they hate the framework in the first place. They were never fans of the framework. They never thought the framework was acceptable or anything like that. They made it very well known. They made it very clear that they want to tear that framework down. And that's another reason why you need to not listen to them about anything. You need to not give in to their gaslighting. You need to not give in to their bullshit. You need to be willing to look at them and say, nah, fuck you, and do whatever you can to take them down, proverbially, right? But Another thing that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while is narrative building, right? There's been a couple of situations where people have died due to, like immigrants or black people and stuff like that, right? And you saw give, send, go campaigns for them. The Indian dude who was driving that truck that killed 3 people, and I remember the video of the guy just kind of sitting there like, looking as though these 3 people who died were like an inconvenience to him or something like that, as though he was at the 7-Eleven waiting on these people and they were like annoying lottery people who were like, give me a 2. You know, the numbered scratch ticket fucking boxes that you pull them out. Give me a 2. Give me a 5. And 2 7s and a 20. Like looking like that. That's how the dude was looking. People made him a GoFundMe, right? The guy who killed Irina Zarutska, they tried to make a GoFundMe for him. Those GoFundMes didn't contain explanations. They contained narratives. And those narratives read something like, donate to help stop the unjust treatment of Punjab, fucking Boomba Clottabad, whatever the fuck the fucking Indian dude's name was, right? There was no explanation. There was no trying to justify what happened. It was just, they called it unfair treatment. They called it an unjust arrest. They said that he did not deserve to be punished for what happened. There was no, hey, here's why. It was just, that was it. You need to understand that about narrative building. When you build a narrative, you don't explain the narrative. You don't justify the narrative. You don't go, hey, this is murder because. You say, this is murder. Period. Period T. Period T. It's murder, sis. Period T, right? That is how you create a narrative. A narrative is not something you are trying to convince people of. A narrative is the reality that you are pushing. And you don't try to explain reality to somebody. Reality is just reality. And if you disagree with reality, then people are going to look at you sideways. They're going to be like, gee, what's this guy's deal? What the hell is he? What's he talking about? No, he's wrong. He's an idiot. At best, that's what people are going to say. At worst, they're going to say you're dangerous, you are mentally ill, you are a bad person, something like that, right? That's what needs to be happening. That's what you need to be doing. A great example of this, right? This is the thing that flipped the switch for me when I realized, like, oh, we've been doing it all wrong this whole time. There was a protest that was going on in Ireland, right? And there were some people who were trying to promote freedom of speech in Ireland. And then there were counter protesters, Antifa. Now, when the Antifa people showed up, they got the fuck beat out of them by the free speech protesters. When the free speech protesters talked about it later, they didn't say, yeah, some fucking Antifa pussies showed up and we fucked them up. No, they didn't do that. What they did instead was they drafted basically what was a press release that they put on Facebook or something like that, and it went something along the lines of, on March 27th, concerned citizens who wanted to promote freedom of speech and expression in Ireland gathered for a peaceful gathering or protest or whatever they said. During the course of this protest, some terrorists showed up, some masked hoodlums showed up and attempted to stir trouble, including physical violence, against us, while women and children were present in our ranks, right? And I'm drafting the statement on my own, right now, but this is essentially what they said. It's not exactly what they said. Now, from there, they said these people were asked to leave, and when they did not leave, they were escorted out. They didn't escort them out. They beat the fuck out of them. And then they sent them on their way, as is tradition in Ireland, right? That was beautiful. That narrative building was flawless. It could not have been done better, and I'm not even doing it justice. I wish I took a screenshot of it. I wish I still had it. I wish I could show it to you. What I saw from this group of free speech activists in Ireland, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. It struck such a chord with me because I know exactly what happened there. I know exactly what they did. They beat up some left-wingers, and then they kicked them out. But the way that they were able to craft the narrative to make it into a situation where women and children were being attacked, which they were, and they were simply escorted out so that the women and children would be protected, that is exactly the kind of shit that you need to be doing. You need to stop going, hey, it was murder and this is why. You need to stop saying, hey, political violence is bad and this is why. You need to stop saying, hey, cancel culture is bad and this is why. You need to stop explaining yourself. You need to stop entertaining people enough as to where you would even try to convince them in the first place. You need to put out narratives that are so resolute, that are so black and white, that are so uncompromising, that if somebody disagrees, you don't say, hey, here's why you should agree. You say, wow, you're disagreeing with reality, bud. What the fuck is your problem? You're a bad person. You're insane. You should not be allowed in polite society because this is what people in polite society believe. And since you don't believe it, that means you don't belong here. So get the fuck out of polite society. Hey, where do you work? Where do you work? Oh, you work there? I'm calling your boss. That's the kind of thing that needs to be happening. That's the kind of narrative that you need to be building at all times. You need to, if it's like I said, that guy who seemed to get arrested for beating up that leftist, you need to put out a narrative that paints him as a guy who was simply defending himself from a far left terrorist who went there specifically to try and do harm to women and children who were present on the day, by the way. There were women and children there. You could hear a lot of the women screaming, no! As they're known to do when that guy got what he showed up to get. You know? Fucking, you need to be making give, send, goes. You need to be making GoFundMes or whatever you can for the guys who are in those situations and titling it, Stop the Unfair Treatment of the Guy Who Defended Women and Children. You know? That's what you need to be doing. It's insane, you know? Oh no, the Ireland protests. Wait, Antifa got beat down? I didn't see that. I mean, what I'm talking about is like 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago. I can remember where I was when I saw it. Like that's how prolific it was to me. That's how much it mattered to me when I saw that. I can tell you exactly where I was. I'm not going to tell you where I was exactly. Not that it was like a bad place. I just don't want to, fucking, it doesn't matter that much. But, like, it's so important that you understand that. It's so important that you develop a tactical mind, a strategic mind, and you start looking at this for what it is, which is a war, that if you are not constantly trying to win at any and all costs that are, within the realm of legality, that you are going to lose. Because if you're going to sit here and be like, hey, here's why what that guy did was bad, you're going to have the opposition who are saying what he did is good, and if you disagree, you're bad. Fucking, and that's what the opposition's doing with Charlie Kirk. These people who they are glad Charlie Kirk is dead, they're not sitting there like, hey man, I don't agree with what he did, but I mean, I don't think Charlie Kirk was a good guy. No, what they're doing is saying, yeah, that's great, woohoo, yay. Oh, you know what? He didn't care about the Palestinian kids, and he said this once. He said this once, so he's a bad guy, and that Tyler Robinson guy is a good guy, and yeah, free him, haha. That's what's going to happen. You have to be aware of that, and you have to be ready to counter their resolute narrative that they, whether they believe it's true or not, they're throwing it out there anyway. You have to be ready to counter that with your own, and you have to fight for it more fervently. You have to be willing to be more strategic about it, Reminder, communism is when ugly, deformed freaks make it illegal to be normal, then rob and or kill all successful people out of petty resentment and cruelty. The ideology is just window dressing. Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much exactly it, Lord Gygas, I wish you taught where I live. Scott Sullivan MMA. I've tried MMA and karate courses by me, but they are more interested in being a chat club. Ugh, no one will teach you how to defend yourself. That fucking sucks, you know? Yeah, I mean, I didn't have very good teachers myself, if I'm being completely and totally honest with you. I didn't get good because my teachers helped me to get good. I got good because I gave a fuck about getting good. So when I started teaching, I told myself I don't want to be that fucking guy who shows up to classes drunk, because that's the guy who taught me Muay Thai. Dude was a fucking drunk. He's dead now. Rest in peace, but like the guy had issues. I actually enjoyed his class because he ran a class that it was high energy and stuff like that, but like it got to a point where it's like, yo, you're like, I dislocated my knee because I was kicking incorrectly and nobody thought to fucking correct my kick. So now I have a permanently fucked up knee that even the other day I'm sparring and I feel it slide like that, because that'll happen sometimes. It'll like, it'll slide. That's the only way I could describe it. And I feel a sharp pain in my knee. And sometimes it's so bad I have to hit the floor. Like I don't even fall over. It's literally, it hurts so bad that I have to like slap out. I have to take a knee or I have to sit down, but like, yeah, I didn't want to be just another one of those guys. So I did a lot of training on my own, meaning, my own shadow boxing, my own experimentation when I'm sparring. I watched a lot of film, it was an obsession and it still is an obsession for me. But yeah, I mean, I want to be a good coach for the people that I teach. And unfortunately, not everybody wants to be the greatest student, but I mean, you gotta take people as they are sometimes. Anyway, please, sir, he made a mistake. He is just working hard, trying for his family. Exactly, like that's the type of shit that they'll pull. You have to harden your heart. Don't soften your heart to evil. Harden your heart to evil. And something else, I was actually going to tweet this earlier, but I tweeted like 5 or 6 times today, and that's way more than I would usually tweet. I try to do it like no more than 2 or 3 times a day. In fact, I'll read you the tweet because I want to make sure I get it right. Not to toot my own horn here, but I'm gonna post this probably tomorrow. I have a bunch of tweets that I haven't sent, so I gotta. I said, forgiveness is praying for the soul of a murderer, and kindness is making his execution quick and painless. Don't let someone convince you it means passivity or permissiveness. And that is exactly the kind of thing that I think a lot of people are afraid of, especially from a Christian standpoint, is they have been taught because of different new age ideals that have creeped into the public consciousness. They have been taught via television and movies and music and all this other bullshit that forgiveness and mercy means passivity, when the reality is an eye for an eye is the law of the land. It is the law of the Bible, right? If somebody kills, you don't just turn the other cheek. That's not what Jesus meant. When somebody kills, they are to be killed by the state. Capital punishment is what it is, right? And this idea that we're supposed to be like, no, actually, I forgive him and I don't think he should be killed. No. I forgive the guy. I hope God allows him into heaven. I hope God opens the gates to him. But he's got to die. The guy has got to fucking die. They need to get the death penalty for the guy. It is what it is. I'm not angry about it, but he's got to die. I don't know what to tell you, And I see someone like Megyn Kelly have Father Mike on. I got to be honest with you. I haven't been going to church. I haven't been going to services for that long. So I don't want to be the guy who started going to services a couple months ago and now I'm all like Mr. Church Politics guy or anything like that. But there's something about Father Mike that I don't 100% trust, if I'm being completely and totally honest with you. There's something about that guy that is very similar to a lot of these Catholic and even non-Catholic fucking people who they start podcasts or Like there was this one guy, he helps churches with their SEO. He's literally like one of those marketing gurus, and his focus is on churches. He's talking about like what is permissible in terms of like how we should think and feel about this guy and stuff like that who killed Charlie Kirk in cold blood. There's something about Father Mike that I don't 100% trust. He is a good looking dude. I don't have a problem with that. But I think that is part of the problem. And what I mean by that is I'm not threatened by the fact that the guy is better looking than me, you know. Only by a little, only by a little. You know, he's just a little bit better looking than me. Only a little bit, only a little bit. No, but I'm not threatened by the fact that the guy looks better than me. But I think the reason why he is famous in the circle that he appears to be famous in is because there's a lot of women who like to look at him, and he has probably picked up on that, and he has started preaching to women specifically. That is my guess. I don't know for certain. I don't know for sure. But I think it's interesting that a lot of women, including Catholic women, are like, "Oh yeah, wow, he's such a manly man. He's a man's man. I love him. He's great. Father Mike is so great." And he goes on Megyn Kelly's show and he talks about, anger is a natural emotion, but we can't allow it to form into resentment and all this other stuff. Like a day after the killing, it's like, Father, you don't got to say something right now. You can, and if you're going to say something, just say, hey, the killer should be found and punished, but don't allow that hate to solidify. Don't allow hate to solidify in your heart. Like, he could have said something a lot better than what he said on Megyn Kelly's show, I'll try and find what he said on Megyn Kelly's show, right? I'm trying to find the yeah, here it is. So again, this is and pardon me for saying this about a man of the cloth, but this is the kind of guy that women, regardless of their marital status, when they're laying in bed at night, they start double clicking their mouse to the thought of this guy. They start having fantasies about one-on-one Bible study with a guy like this. This is a very attractive looking guy, He is an authority figure, and he is a gentle authority figure. He is somebody who he's not going to be like, hey, knock it off. He's going to be like, honey, he is also unattainable as a Catholic priest. He is not somebody who is allowed to be married or having children or things like that, right? But let's go ahead.
Anger, indulged, can become vengeance. It also can become something even worse, which is resentment and bitterness. And we know that so anger, I would say it like this: anger is an active emotion. Resentment is when things settle. What I mean by that is
you have to get through anger. You have to process anger.
And it can move, right? The anger can move us to do good. Anger can move us to say, this is wrong, and I need you to do something about this. Like for you to be able to say, I need to go on the air, and we need to talk about this so that others don't experience this, so that people know that they're not alone. So we can rally and say, okay, you guys, how would Charlie want us to respond to this? Like that, to use that anger to move forward, to do good, as opposed to, I always think of resentment as like, anger is still the like quicksand, or it's like concrete that is still, you can still move it. But resentment is like when I set that, and now I've hardened my heart towards a certain group of people, towards a certain individual. I've hardened my heart to the world. I've hardened my heart to God. So we can't afford to go into resentment, but we have to know how to choose what to do with our anger. And so your response of anger, it would be a defect of humanity to not experience anger.
Well, then I'm human. I'm dead.
So what he's saying, I don't disagree with, but it's the context that I feel this becomes tone deaf in. This is, like I said, maybe a day, maybe not even a day, but it was like, no. This was not even a day after. This was probably like 4 to 6 hours after the assassination occurred. And this guy is saying that right now. That's tone deaf. He could have said many things that were going to be a lot better here. Even if he wanted to get the same point across, he could have put it in a much better way, right? This is a guy who is pretty well spoken. I don't believe that he couldn't have put it in a better way, but he did. And the reason why I feel is because he's speaking to women. This is a guy who is for women. Excuse me. Anybody who has a platform as a member of the Catholic Church, you have to be very careful of. And I don't mean platform as in like, oh, they're a cardinal, they're a bishop, they're a whatever, right? And they have like a lot of eyes on them because of their position. That's not what I mean. What I mean is when you have a guy who I would assume this guy just I would assume this guy just leads a congregation or something like that. He's just a guy who he's got a church that he preaches at, right? Whenever a guy of this level all of a sudden has a big whenever a guy of this level all of a sudden has a big fucking following, and he's being brought on Megyn Kelly's show and all this other stuff, and all the ladies are talking about him in a shameful way, in a disgusting way, right? You should be skeptical of that. You should be skeptical of him, you know? Priests are human beings. They have sin. We are all sinful. And me, like I said, I'm not a church politics guy, right? But I mean, you got to be careful of somebody like this, because he may not even realize that he's doing something that is not good. He may just be trying his best. I'd like to believe that he's just trying his best, and he sees what he thinks is an avenue to try and convert more people, mainly women, because women are going to be the ones who are like, oh, Father Mike, you know, they're going to be like that, right? He may just be like, look, I'm just trying my best to bring as many people to Christ as I can, you know, via Catholicism, of course. It's possible. But regardless, what he's saying is the last thing that people need to hear right now, you know? At least give people a day, man. At least give people a fucking day, dude. Weak chin. Weak chin. Fucking negative canthal tilt. I don't even know what that is. That's just something that I've heard is a negative canthal tilt, and I don't even know what that is. Isn't that something to do with this side of your eye, whether it tilts down or up, or something like that? You know. He do be having a good jawline. Yeah. Helldivers 2 game code for 500-pound bomb. Ah, okay. So that's what the upright triple down is. Okay, all right. I see. They might want to look into getting a new mouse if it's double clicking like that. Yeah, for sure. He'd do well in prison. They'd call him $2 Chuck. Oh boy, Gordon. Again, this is still a man of the cloth here. I don't want to be too rude to him or anything like that, you know. But yeah, you got to be careful of that kind of shit, you know. You got to be careful of those kinds of people. Anyway, damn, you're probably right though. Oh man. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. To discuss regarding this. It's been a little over 2.5 hours. It is 2 a.m. right now. Um, uh, um, uh, um, uh. The kind of father to come to a man's wife in the rain and eat her ziti. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, like I don't even want to get into the feminization of the world and the feminization of the right. It's disgusting. I mean, the entire world is feminized. The left wing is feminized. The right wing is feminized. But like the left wing has a little bit more bite to it because it is the kind of feminization that behaves much like a cantankerous shrew of a woman, the kind of woman who she asks, or not even asks, she tells you, hey, I'm going to the club with all my hoe friends tonight. And you're like, what? No, I don't think that's cool. I don't want you to do that. I'm not comfortable with that. That's not fair to me. I don't trust your hoe friends. And they go, I wasn't asking. Fuck you. You don't control me. You don't own me. I'm gonna do what I want. Like that kind of bitch. That is what the left is, you know. They're cantankerous in that way. They are childish in that way. They are just gross and completely and totally incapable of being reasoned with and played with fairly or anything like that. Um, oh, uh, did we mention what CK said? Oh, when you said CK, I literally thought you meant like CK, like the one from Fish Tank. Did we mention what Charlie Kirk said about Brazil right before? No, we did not. But I do know that there were some things that he was starting to talk about regarding the ADL and Israel and stuff like that. I found that to be very interesting. There was also apparently some books that were like AI slop about the shooting that were released like the day before or something like that. I guess I don't know. They were like published the day before on Amazon. I'm curious if anyone bought any of those and decided to read them to see if it was exactly what happened. You know, I'm curious to see. Curious to see if there's any weight to that or if there's any weird shit going on. You know, um, man, um, what was I saying about the left? Yeah, but the left and the right are both very feminine. It's just that they are those two different sides of femininity where like the left wing is that woman who like the left wing is that woman who is just an absolute insane piece of shit that you don't know why you ever got with, and you're like, fuck dude, this bitch is gonna ruin my life, you know? And the right wing is that woman who like she's a good woman, but she's just dumb as rocks, and because of that she's the type of chick who like is like for instance my mother, right? I think my mother was a little bit of both growing up. I think my mother was she had a bit of a narcissistic streak to her, but she was also just stupidly naive about a lot of things. And I can remember I was playing Fallout 3, and I'm aiming for people's heads when I play Fallout 3, and their heads are exploding because that's Fallout 3. Especially when you get the bloody mess perk, it happens constantly. And my almost said my wife, my mom is sitting there like my mom wife. We're in Alabama. We're Alabamians. My mom wife, no, but my mom sees me blow the head off one of those guys in the video game, and she's like, "Can't you just aim it? Can't you just aim at his feet?" Like literally hits me with that, and like I had to put the controller down, turn around, and be like, "Mom, fucking leave me alone." I put the controller down in her fucking in her fucking living room, and I was like, "Would you leave me alone?" It was like that's what the right is like they're constantly doing and saying shit where you're like, "Look, I don't want you dead. You're my mom or you're my wife, you're my girlfriend, you're my sister, you're my good friend, whatever. I love you, but fucking close your mouth. Stop talking, please." You know? Like the two different kinds of feminization. The two different kinds of feminization, you know? Um, your mom is mad gay, not gonna lie. Yep, can confirm. Um, he jumped off the roof with the rifle. He must have given it to someone else. Did you mean without the rifle? 112. Oh, with no rifle visible. Yeah. That was a little weird. I am wondering about that. He did have something in his hand, but it looked like it was a jacket. Maybe he was covering the jacket, covering the rifle with the jacket. That's a possibility. Or yeah, maybe there was somebody else that he gave the rifle to. Maybe he left it there and somebody else grabbed it in the meantime, and they left it in the woods for him to try and grab. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. There was something specifically about the left. Oh yeah. The good news about the left wing being that cantankerous, like life ruination tier of female is that they don't actually know how to partake in violence. That assassination was one of the few times where you actually saw somebody who actually pulled out all the stops, pulled out all the brakes, actually crossed the line. The type of violence the left wing specializes in, and this is almost exclusively the only kind of violence they take part in, is the violence much in the way that like Tom and Jerry used to go, where you'd see Tom trolling the dog. I forget if the dog had a name, but every now and again there would be a dog in the in some of the episodes. He'd be tied up on a leash that was on a stake planted into the ground. So there was only a certain amount of range that the guy had. The dog could only move around in a certain radius. And fucking Tom would grab a newspaper, he'd lean over, he'd whack him, and then he'd take a step back, and he would be this fucking far away from the dog, and the dog could not get him, right? That's the kind of violence that the left partakes in. They wait for you to show up at a rally. They have spotters in the parking garage, and when they see you hop out of your car, they wait like 20 minutes and then they slash your tires, or they bust up your window, right? They throw a fucking whatever at you and then they run away, right? They're not good at actual true, like, all the stops are pulled out, I'm seriously trying to fucking hurt you violence. And that's part of the reason why they got beat up in literally every single conflict that took place back in the 2016 era. There was not a single fight where they did not get fucked up. There was literally one fight that took place between two guys. It was a one-on-one fight. It was the cider riot incident in May of 2019. I can remember that one. There was this one guy. He had a little bit of MMA training. He was not that great, but he fought some Proud Boy who had absolutely no training at all, and they went until somebody fell over. The Proud Boy fell over. He got right back up, but then they called it quits. And they shook hands and they went their separate ways. That is the only time I have ever seen an Antifa guy win a one-on-one fight. And even then, he didn't really win. The Proud Boy just fell over once, and then they called it, like, it wasn't even them who called it quits. It was fucking everybody else was like, yeah, okay, that's it. Haha, yeah. All right, I guess the Antifa guy won. It's other than that, they just are not good with any other kind of violence. They're only good with the kind of violence where either they outnumber you 10-1 or they wait until you leave and they fuck up your property. So that's one of those things where, and this is part of their whole thing. This is part of why they tried to win via entryism and things like that, is because if they could win via entryism, they wouldn't actually have to have a real revolution. They could just utilize the institutions that they've taken over to commit acts of violence for them. So there's some conservative cop who's like, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job, and he shoots a fucking right-wing protester or some shit like that, A lot of those cops in D.C. in January 6th, they were Trump supporters. I guarantee you 100%. I would bet money that most, I won't say all of them, but most of them were probably Trump supporters. And they're sitting there allowing the fucking thing to get fucked with. They're hurting people who are doing nothing, It's insane. But it if the left does not have that institutional power, they simply cannot survive because they're going to get arrested every time they break somebody's window. And that is the polite version. That is the moderate. That is the moderate take, is that they'll just get arrested. The truth is they'll get the shit kicked out of them if they get caught up by anybody other than the cops, and then they'll get arrested, you know? Because again, a fist fight is a lot closer to actual real, like, pulling out all the stops violence than waiting for someone to leave so that you can slash their tires. Those are two different things, you know? And Antifa may be really good at the first one, but newsflash, that's a really easy one to be good at, you know? There's nobody there to stop you from slashing the tires. But you also have, that other side that they're not very good at, which is actual, like, smash mouth getting knocked the fuck out, you know? If they're not good at that, they're not going to be good at the escalation. If there is actually somebody there who's like, oh no, you're not going to shoot me. You point a gun at me, I'm going to shoot you. You know, that kind of thing. I'm sure you guys get what I'm saying. This is beyond the political polarity. Trump did AIBS tributes to Charlie, the last one with the U.S. flag behind Trump and the Israel flag right behind Charlie. No, this is political polarity, Resonant Properties. This is political polarity, whether you want to believe it or not, you know? I don't care if Trump did an AI video. I got to be honest with you. I'm not that concerned about whether or not Trump did an AI video. That doesn't mean that the right wing is bad all of a sudden. Especially when the left wing are saying, aha, yeah, he fucked around and he found out. Yeah, they got him. Woohoo. Not the same. Not the fucking same. And even, like, I will take the lesser of two evils as well, you know? This is not the time for peacenik bullshit. This is not the time for midwit, hey man, it's both sides, dude. Actually, it's the corporations. They want to divide and conquer us. The whole two sides, divide and conquer rhetoric, even if there is a tinge of truth to it, it is cowardice. It is cowardice. Is what it is. It's like what I was saying about Upham in Saving Private Ryan. And I'm not trying to say you're a coward, Resonant Properties. That's not what I intend to try and say about you. I apologize if that's how it sounds, but I'm saying the rhetoric is typically used by cowards, right? What you have are people who they, again, are afraid of the idea of conflict. Maybe they don't think they're going to win, or they don't have the courage to win, or there's some aspect of what they're doing that makes it really hard for them to be comfortable with the idea of succeeding. And because of that, instead of being like, okay, I need to nut the fuck up and I need to go, I need to do this, I need to get through the discomfort, and I need to win this proverbial battle, right? Instead of being that way, what they do is they try and say, hey man, it's both sides. That's what has been happening for years from a lot of people who are right-wingers. And, you know, a lot of these people have their own versions of these copes. The further right you get, the more of an acceptance of communism you get. You have people who they call themselves third position. And they say that you remember Eurasianism. You remember blah 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 blah. You remember the Eurasianists, the guys who were into Dugin and shit like that. You remember that shit? That was obviously a psyop, you know. But the reason why it caught on in a lot of right-wing circles, specifically further right-wing circles, is because it was their way to say, hey man, these commies that have been trying to kill us for so long, actually, we don't even have to worry about that because they're not our enemies. It's their way of not feeling like they have to keep fighting. It's their way of trying to extend an olive branch to the commies, which the commies do that to every single fucking time. But at the very least, when the commies do that, they can say, well, that's all right. They're just not ready to accept it. They just don't get it yet. They just don't get it, man. They just don't understand. But it's okay because I have the moral high ground now. That was their version of that. That's what Eurasianism was from the dudes that call themselves third position and stuff like that. And I'm so glad that's not a thing anymore. You don't see that anymore, you know? On the people, when it comes to the people who are like less far right, like the Tim Pool type guys, who Tim Pool fancies himself to be a liberal, but to anybody left of him, he's considered to be like fucking Hitler in a beanie, you know? You have people like Tim Pool and right wingers that listen to Tim Pool, you know, neocon tier guys, boomercon tier guys, you know, Punisher skull wearing guys, boobs and guns and liberty. And I have bye bye printed on my AR, and my AR is green because my favorite color is green. That kind of guy, the Black Rifle Coffee guy. Like, their cope was, hey man, you remember the Occupy movement? You remember how scared that had everybody? Dude, it's so crazy. And it was going somewhere too, man. But then what happened is the elites like George Soros, they introduced identity politics into it to break it up. And you can see it happen. That's their cope. That's their both sides cope. That's their, hey man, we need to stop this division, man. We need to unite, man, because it's the corporations, man. And the corporations are the ones that poisoned my left-wing brother, my socialist and communist brother, with the identity politics. Identity politics has been around since at least the 30s and before that. There are guys. I had a friend who was really well versed in this. I wish I could still talk to this guy. We went our separate ways, mainly because he was like, I got to get a move on, right? But he told me that there were people in the 1930s. I don't know if it was the Frankfurt School. It might have been the Frankfurt School, but I could be wrong about that. But regardless, the identity politics thing goes way, way back. This is not an invention of the last 10 to 15 years. It's an invention of the last 70 to 100 years. Fucking, this is not something where some fucking guy in a boardroom was like, the proletariat is rising. These people, wow, the 99% is coming for us. What are we gonna do? We could make them worry about blacks instead. That's not what that was. That's not what that was. It was always going to turn out like that, because that's what happens with Big Tent. Is some fucking narcissistic black chick, some narcissistic gay dude who likes to wear women's clothing, always has to make it about himself. It was always going to happen like that at all times. The corporations didn't need to inject that into it. It was going to be injected into it itself, regardless of how you felt about it, regardless of how well you thought the movement was going. Fucking, it's pointless bullshit, you know? It's pointless fucking bullshit. You know, and it's cowardice. Cowards who don't have the fucking stones to stand up and say, no, my side is morally correct, objectively correct. We are the objective, moral side. Because they don't have the balls to do that. They sit there and they say things like, actually, China's kind of based. Actually, Putin's kind of fucking based. That's why Russians go and fight for Ukraine and not the other way around. You don't have Ukrainians who go and fight for Russia. You have Russians who are like, wow, we don't like Putin. Let's go fight for Ukraine. We're actual right-wing dudes. And Putin wants to kill us. So let's go fight for Ukraine. That's why you have that. It is because Russia's so based and so red-pilled and so right-wing and all that shit, you know? Fucking and again, like the whole Occupy Wall Street, dude, they're trying to keep us focused on race to divide us, dude. We gotta unite, dude. I'm not gonna unite with the people whose main goal is to kill me, because that is a non-negotiable goal. It's not a, I can't negotiate with them so that maybe they'll only kill me a little bit. It's a 1 or a 0. It's an on or an off. It's a dead or alive. That's what that is. All right. There is no, hey man, like, maybe we can get some UBI if you agree to only kill like 10% of me. That's not how it works. That's not what happens. You fucking idiots. Again, like not saying you resident properties. I know what you were saying, right? I know what you were saying is like you said you agree totally, right? And I appreciate that. You know, I'm not trying to target you. But like what I'm saying is all these fucking people who are like that, it's like, dude, get with it or get out of the way. And if you're gonna be a doom poster, if you're gonna be a coward, get the fuck out of the way, you know? Excuse me. Watching all these leftist assholes lose their job is pretty rad, though. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's about time the chickens came home to roost. Well, all this trite incubated in their Rothschild education systems and Freudian brain rot. Yep. I have people at work afraid to let people know they like Trump. They let the loud left keep them quiet. They need to get the balls to not care what they say. Yeah, you see, I think it's best. I will say I think it's best to keep politics out of the workplace. I don't talk politics with anybody. I think it's weird. Even if somebody agrees with me, I think it's weird. Like I don't want to talk about it. You know, I'm not here to do politics. But also, if left wingers at your work are doing politics, why shouldn't you be allowed to do politics? I think what should happen is these left wingers should be told, "Hey, shut the fuck up." Nobody wants to hear it. But if they're not going to, then why shouldn't you be allowed to do it? You know? I just let people talk a lot of the time, you know. I let people think I don't know anything when really I know more than they do half the time, you know. Fucking because I mean the thing is like people don't want to listen, they want to talk. When people are listening, they're usually not actually listening for real. They're just waiting for their chance to talk, you know. You'll hit them with an actual nuanced take that contains an understanding of the situation for what it actually is, and it comes from a place of some kind of expertise. You've actually taken the time and the energy to look into this and figure it all out on your own. You'll hit them with that and you'll get the fucking fluoride stare. They'll be like, "Oh, really? Wow. Oh. Hmm." They'll talk like that. And either before or after you start talking to them about it, they'll have the gall to try and tell you all about it. And they'll be like, "Dude, it's the corporations, man. Dude, all these corporations are funding these people who are doing this stuff, man. It's crazy." And when you hit them with a more nuanced take, instead of them being like, "Oh, huh, this guy knows about this. I should listen to it because I just said something about it. Maybe I can learn something about it." They go, "Oh, yeah? Wow." You know, I don't talk with people because a lot of people don't want to listen, you know. So many people are so stupid they don't realize they're stupid, and that's what a midwit is. A midwit is not especially smart. They're just smart enough as to where they aren't like placed into a special ed class. You know, a lot of them are C students. Either that or they're the kind of person because they followed directions well enough they were like an A or a B student, but they're not particularly intelligent. But they convince themselves that they are the world's greatest, foremost expert on whatever it is they happen to be fucking talking about in that moment. And because of that, when somebody who actually knows something starts talking to them about it, like literally their brains shut off because it's an information overload and they're realizing, "Oh, I don't know as much about this as I thought." And instead of being like, "Oh, interesting, huh, I should listen to this, I should learn something," they just that's what happens. They fucking power down and they just wait for you to stop talking, and then maybe they throw more of what they're talking about out there, you know. It's so fucking stupid. It's so foolish, you know. Fucking it's frustrating, you know. And like you can't talk it like me. I don't care what people think of me, you know. If I cared what people think of me, I'd be in really really bad shape. I'd be in a really bad situation, you know. But like it's really stressful being somebody who is above average in IQ, who is able to suss out intentions, who understands things and stuff like that. It's really frustrating to be someone who has a modicum of intelligence compared to all these fucking idiot people because again they're so stupid they don't even understand they're dumb. And when you start talking because they can't understand you, they assume that it's because you're stupid. They assume that you're just making caveman noises, you know. You might as well be talking to them like that. They're just going to assume that it's because you're dumb, you know. And that's why I don't fuck with people, is because most people that I know are actually really fucking stupid all the time. If I'm just being honest about it, most people that I know are really dumb, and I allow them to think they're intelligent. I allow them to get away with whatever it is they feel like they want to get away with, so long as it doesn't hurt or inconvenience me too much. And I don't care if they think I'm dumb, because the fact of the matter is they haven't done fucking anything with their lives. They have no clue about anything. And when it comes down to it, they always make their lives harder than they need to be. My life is a lot easier on me because I dedicate my intelligence to trying to make my life as easy and as streamlined and as beneficial to me as I can make it. And a lot of the time, that includes just letting that idiot think he's the smart guy and do whatever the fuck it is he wants to do, so long as it doesn't hurt me, you know? That's what I do at work. I have these dudes who think that they know how to do shit. And I just let them do whatever it is, and they do half the shit that I don't want to do anyway. And like, they think that they're Mr. Leader or something like that, but really, I'm allowing them to think that because they're going to be like, oh, well, I'll do this because, you know, I'm Mr. Leader. I know how it's going to get done. I know how I'm going to do it the best way. And it's like, yeah, sure. You know the best way, dude. Go right ahead. You want to lift that heavy package by yourself? Hey, whatever. It's fine by me, dude. I'm cool with it, you know? But anyway, I got to stop talking about that shit. It's just frustrating, you know? That is one side effect of it, is that it's frustrating dealing with people who think they're better than you when really they suck. It's annoying, but it's also not worth arguing with people about, because it's not an argument that you're going to win. You're not going to lose the argument, but you're not going to win the argument. It's one of those things where you'll just keep going round and round and round, and they'll always find some way to be like, oh, well, actually, you know, it's a pointless endeavor. It's a pointless argument. But anyway, oh geez, carrot on a stick in an ass race. Yeah. I talk way too much at work. People shouldn't be having enough time at work for socializing. Yeah, I'm not a socializing guy either, you know? There's a couple of people that I'm pretty tight with, but like, other than that, it's like, fucking whatever, dude, you know? I'll chit chat with people, but I don't want to stop in the middle of what I'm doing to turn around and be like, hey, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's not what I want to do, you know? Like, if we're in the same room and we're doing something either together, or if we're just doing separate things in the same room and you want to chit chat, yeah, we can chit chat while we work, but don't fucking stop me in the middle of what I'm doing because you want like 5 minutes to fucking rest, you know? Just take a 5-minute break. Scott will have a prime Brock Lesnar physique by next year. Of course I will. Libs love taking the high horse route. Yeah, and that's the most annoying thing, is the high horse people, you know? There's nothing you can do to force somebody like that to admit that maybe they're a little bit out of their depth on an issue. So there's no point to it, you know? If you know you're better than someone, you don't punch down, or you're worse than dirt. Yeah, and that's what I try to avoid doing, you know? I let people just be who they are and what they are, and it's a lot easier on me, you know? It's a better way to be, you know? You see the self-defense video of the guy disarming a chick chimping out with a gun? Oh, yeah, I did see that. You know, we've kind of moved on from the Charlie Kirk topic. I think there wasn't really much else for us to talk about like that. I would assume if I search woman with gun, it'll pop up. Ah, yes. So this is interesting to me, right? And I'm going to tell you what's interesting about it. We'll go ahead and we'll look at it.
I don't play with a motherfucking man. A man is not gonna play with me. You gonna play with me, bitch. 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 You gonna play with me now. Now, cause one thing about it, I don't play with no mother. Don't touch me.
You don't see what happened, right? You don't see what happened, but you just hear a poof, literally knocked her shoes off. That is fucking hilarious, bro. knocked her fucking shoes off. Just like the other guy. So, I said I found this interesting, right? And I'm glad somebody brought this up because I would have never thought to talk about this until somebody talked about it here. I find it interesting because it seems to be very deliberate what's going on here. The camera is not pointing at anyone's face. It's not pointing at this dude's face especially. We can't see this dude's head. We can't identify him via his facial features. Now, there's other ways that you can identify somebody, but I almost wonder if this dude who was right there was coached on how to react in a situation like this. I wonder if he was coached to only get what is absolutely positively necessary on camera, which is this woman, the perpetrator, with a firearm, right? Because you see,
I don't play with a motherfucking man.
I'm going to go ahead, no face, no face, no face. You got her face, right? You got her face a little bit, right? And you also have the gun. He's got the gun, right? Again, no dad face, no nothing like that. And then, bang. Okay, so we have the fight, and he turns away, right? Maybe that was just because he didn't want to get his dad on camera getting shot. But I don't know, man. I feel like this was probably purposeful on his part as to where he was like, okay, I need to make sure that even though I'm trying to get the important pieces of this, I don't get anything that could potentially be used against my dad on camera, right? Because in this situation, it's pretty hard to argue that that guy did anything wrong. However, courts are fucked up. You cannot trust the court system. So the less there is of the dad actually disarming that woman, the better. All we need to know is that this woman had a gun and she was waving it around erratically and she was threatening with it. She was brandishing it, you know, and there was more than just an implied threat there. There was a very real blatant threat. The gun was being aimed at him at more than one point, right? But I find it interesting that, again, right, after she gets put to bed, ooh, nice neon belly there. Interesting. I wonder if this guy does jujitsu. I didn't realize it was a neon belly until I paused it here. This is a jujitsu position. This is called neon belly. Okay. It's not the best neon belly ever because, you know, the leg is right here, but also I don't think he has much to worry about. This woman is slumped. She is she got her socks knocked off. After the woman has been pacified is when you see him turn the camera back. Again, still no dad, or still no face of the dad. And then in addition to that, I saw a post that was allegedly from these guys. I think it was the dad himself later on that said they left and they called the police because they were afraid of the potential of him being framed for some kind of weird racial attack. It would not surprise me one bit to find out that this kid, who I believe was like 14 or something like that, he was trained on how to take video. This, even though we all want to see the moment that this chick got what she deserved, which, by the way, the reason this started is because she crashed into them and then tried to drive off. This was a hit and run, and they followed her, and she hopped out the car with a gun. As much as we all wanted to see this chick get what she deserved, I'll bet it was a hoot, it was a laugh, it was a riot. Right, I bet it was really cathartic to see a situation like that actually unfold. This was probably the smart move on the part of the son. After a situation like with what happened with Ahmaud Arbery or something like that, you can't take chances. If I was gonna film a situation between my dad and anybody, I'd probably do the same thing for the most part. I mean, that's the thing. I wouldn't film. I'd beat the hell out of somebody with my dad. You know, I ain't letting my dad fight alone. Sons don't let dads fight alone, especially not 30-year-old ones when your dad's 60 fucking 6 or something like that. 67. I forget how old my dad is. Jeez, dude's fucking getting up there. But anyway, like if I was sitting there just filming, that's probably how I would film too. I would not want too much of my dad visible. I would not want too much of any kind of fight visible. I would only want things that incriminate this bitch right here visible, and that's it, you know? And then, of course, I'll be honest with you, like you want to get the gun away, that's for sure. I hope that kid stayed with the gun. I hope he didn't like walk away from the gun or anything like that. You know, you don't want the gun halfway down the street. You know, you kind of want it in a place where if somebody was to walk by, because like black dudes, like a black dude would walk by and he would see a black dude would walk by, he would see this, and he would assume that it was some weird KKK kind of incident, when in reality, this chick deserved worse. You know, she pulled a gun on a dude and his son after hitting them with a fucking car. She deserved a lot worse than what she got, you know? But like, a black dude specifically would walk by, see this, and he would assume that it's something where it's like, oh shit, they trying to kill our black women. They're trying to kill our ebony queens and shit. And if he saw that gun, he might pick that up and he might try and use it, you know? Oh, excuse me. The way he made the gun safe was smooth. Yeah, I have a feeling this is a place where they probably have guns. This is probably in a state where guns are not like an icky thing, you know? Let her go viral, not Pops. Exactly, Resonant Properties. Exactly. You know, she can go viral. Pops can keep his job. Pops can keep his everything, you know? No way they were coming from the zoo. Ah, yes, they were. They were, actually. Brad Baldwin II, number deuce, says, so apparently what happened was that guy and his 14-year-old son were coming back from the zoo, and she rear-ended them and drove off. They caught up to her, and she pulled a gun right before she... he slammed her hard. Yep. Oh man, that's pretty great. That's pretty fucking hilarious. Again, no shoes, knocked out of her shoes. That is the funniest fucking thing, you know. I'm tired of seeing people, even if it is a chick. I'm tired of seeing people who deserve it getting slammed and people being like, "Oh man, you shouldn't have done that." It's like, no, fucking, she deserved it. This is great. This is fantastic. The bad guy or girl in this case lost. The good guy won. Great. We should be happy about that, you know? He's also rocking cowboy boots. Yeah, Peach Boy said, Jack Reacher looking ass. Yeah, he's got like that Jack Reacher if he was 45 years old and starting to develop a beer gut kind of look. It's funny. It's funny. Knocked the dang socks off. Right before he slammed her, she pointed the gun at his son. Oh yeah, yep. There's even a point she starts pointing the gun because that's the thing. You see it in social media all the time. Fucking dudes like there's, even if they have the trigger discipline of like, oh, I'm not gonna have my finger on the trigger, they still they make these videos, these glamour videos, these hype videos on fucking social media and shit like that, where they have a song playing in the background and maybe they got a fucking blunt in their hand or whatever, and they're like pointing it at the camera and shit like that. Even if they don't have finger on the trigger, they still get this idea that it's like a pointing instrument, that like somebody asks you for directions, you go, yeah, it's that way. You know, like that's what she was doing. She had the gun. She thought these guys were going to be scared shitless. I'm sure they were scared, right? But the thing about fear, just like what Father Mike was saying about anger is anger is an active emotion. Fear is an active emotion. Being afraid can make you inactive, but fear will drive you to take care of whatever is making you feel that emotion, right? So this chick thought these guys were going to be afraid, but really all it did was make this guy fear for the safety of himself and his son. And that fear drove him to act, especially when she started trying to be fucking, and you fucking, fuck you with that shit, you know? The bad guy got what she deserved. You know, I mean, if she was dead, I wouldn't even feel bad about it. I got to be honest with you. You know, I'm not saying, oh, fuck, I hope she's dead. I'm just saying, I mean, you don't point a gun at someone unless you're going to use it, you know? And in this case, you shouldn't have been pointing a gun at anyone in the first place. You committed a crime, and then you tried to cover that up by committing another fucking crime. And here you are now. Here you are now. You know, that, you fucking knee on belly position. Needs to happen more often to people like that. But anyway, Anne was shown incredible mercy. Exactly. That's another thing. Like, it would be incredibly hard for me personally to not start throwing to not give the Raja Jackson treatment. It would be incredibly hard for me in a situation where somebody pulls a gun on me, especially if my son is present, and she starts pointing the gun at my son too. It would be incredibly hard for me to not finish the job. I'm not saying I would. I'm saying that the temptation would be there, as it would be for anybody. As it would be for anybody. She got off very, very light. Very, very light. That is for sure, you know? Oh, man. Don't wave a gun at a child. Exactly, you know? In a situation like this, you try and grab the slide to keep it reloading. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that you would need to do. I know how to disarm somebody with a gun depending on the situation, but the thing is, even in a situation like that, you don't want to fuck around too much. Like she had no intention of actually shooting him, right? Let's go ahead, right? She had no intention of actually shooting him. So that's really what saved this guy, if we're being honest here. But I'm going to show you guys how he grabbed it and how that was kind of a problem, right? So, right here. So she points like that, and he grabs her arm, and he grabs her arm like this, and then tries to pull that way. What you would want to do is either grab the wrist, the hand, or the slide. And it depends on a couple of different things, right? And you're going to have to go with whatever you can go with, right? If you're aiming for the slide, but you grab the wrist by mistake, it's not like you get a do-over. You just got to go with it, right? And the thing about grabbing the slide is you have to be very careful with that, because if you have a revolver, right? If somebody has a cylinder-fed handgun, you can and will burn or blow one of your fingers off because of the way the gas escapes from the cylinder of that revolver. So that's something you have to keep in mind, right? In this case, she had something that was blowback, right? There was a slide. So, you know, but you don't want to grab and then pull that way, because that is too slow and it's too long. What you need to do is you need to grab, push, and turn at the same time. And the thing is, you don't want to grab, push, and be like out here. What you want to do is grab and push into here, right? So it's 1, 2 while you turn. There's coordination. There's a coordination that is required for this, right? So if you're here like, hey man, please, I have a family, whatever, blah, blah, blah. 1, 2, right? Now, if somebody was to fire and you grabbed the slide, then yes, there is no blowback that occurs, which means that the spent shell, the spent cartridge is not ejected, which means the new cartridge is not put in, which means you have to cycle it if you want to fire again. That is a legitimate tactic. You can also try your best to break the slide depending on the situation you find yourself in. But that is how you would start a sequence in which you were trying to make sure that a gun is not being pointed at you if you were trying to take it away. From there, your main concern should be continuing to control the gun. Don't even worry about the arm of the person. Just worry about controlling the gun. Make sure it's pointed in a safe direction and try your best to pry it off in a safe way, all right? If you can get it pointed back at that person, that to you is a safe direction, you know? From there, it becomes a bit of a shit show. You know, like the whole like slap the gun, slap the wrist, haha, I have the gun now. That's bullshit. That's not how things work, all right? But that is one way that you could feasibly disarm somebody with a gun, and don't do it. Give somebody your money or talk things out with them or whatever you have to do, right? Whatever you got to do, just don't do what I just showed you, okay? Because it's not just that simple, you know? Nothing is ever just that simple in fighting, okay? Um I don't think I've ever seen you go this late. Yeah, it is pretty late. It is pretty late. We're just talking about some good stuff here. You know, we're talking about some good stuff here. I usually stay up till 3 or 4 a.m. on a Sunday night anyway, because you know it's a Sunday. What the fuck? A Friday night. Excuse me, because you know it's one of the few times that I get to be a night owl. But you know, I'm glad I've spent it with you guys. I'm glad I spent it with you guys. I am gonna get out of here in the next 5 minutes or so. You know, maybe we'll go till 3.5 hours in. That's about 7 minutes, a little bit under at this point. About a little under 8 minutes at this point. So we'll hang out for another, you know, a little under 8 minutes, and we'll do our thing. You know. Hey man, you don't know if she would or not. Yeah, you know, like I don't think here's the thing about a gun. If somebody's gonna shoot you, they're gonna shoot you, and there really isn't much you can do about it. If somebody's not gonna shoot you, then there's a lot you can do about it. You can either run or you can fight. You know. Now, just because someone doesn't shoot you right away, it doesn't mean they wouldn't shoot you. But usually, if somebody has made up their mind to shoot you, they're not gonna walk up to you and point the gun and start talking shit. They're just gonna fucking kill you. That's all that's gonna happen. You know, it's just the reality of how something like that would go. This is a case where this woman clearly took the gun out as a means to try and deter this guy from holding her accountable, and she got slammed into accountability. She got slammed into the concrete of accountability, and she probably has the concussion of accountability and maybe a couple of broken ribs of accountability and things like that. You know, hopefully she does. Hopefully she does. But you know what I mean by that. You know, I had to bring it back up. But what was the quote Sam said about the Charlie Kirk? I don't know. I feel. Oh my goodness is what he said. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure what his quote was, because he's said a few things about it. So I don't quite know which one you're referring to, Brad Baldwin. What do you think about what is your opinion on Detroit Threat Management Center? Is that the Dust guy? Is that the Dust guy? Like Detroit Urban Survival Training or something like that. Really weird, really weird, and I personally would not want to depend on anything that he does. If there's one thing I will say, it's that fighting is weird, and you would be surprised what you're able to get away with. But from what I have seen from the Dust guy, I gotta be honest with you, I don't think I would ever rely on anything that he has shown me. As time has gone on, there's a saying about martial arts, right? It's when I started martial arts, a kick was just a kick. When I got good at martial arts, I realized that a kick is not just a kick. And then when I mastered martial arts, I realized that a kick is just a kick. And what that means is when you start martial arts, you're like it's literally the midwit versus the two ends, the idiot and the intelligent guy, where it's like they both say the same thing, and the midwit is like, oh well, no, you know, like that meme. It's literally that meme where when you don't know anything, a kick to you is just a kick. But when you know something, you're like, well, actually, no, you have to kick a certain way for this reason and that reason and the other reason. But then you get to a point where you know enough and you start to realize, oh, well, actually, this rule can be bent in so many different ways in so many different situations. And that's something that I realized about grappling. That's a big piece of grappling, is that it's all made up bullshit anyway. You know, none of it's real. It's you could do just about anything and you'll be fine, you know? It just depends on the situation you find yourself in and what you have available to you, you know? Oh, excuse me. So it's like when it comes to guys like the Dust guy, you know, I wouldn't rely on anything he tells me. You know, but also, like, I'd be lying to you if I didn't see something that's a little bit weird and a little bit out there work every now and again, if I'm just being honest about it, you know. Um, I'm too old. I'm too old to fight now. I'd rather avoid it. Oh yeah, you definitely should. Anytime you can avoid a fight, you should. I'm the same way. It's like I tell my wife all the time. Like whenever there's a situation in public where I'm a little sketched out, I say like, look, we're gonna go this way because even though I will fight this guy, I don't want to have to. I say that to her all the time. Because of course there's always some guy who like we're in the same parking lot and he cuts me off or something like that and I beep at him and then like we go our separate ways, but we're still in the same parking lot. We still get out at the same time. It's like I might be like, hey, just wait a second. I'm going to let this guy go ahead. I don't want trouble. If trouble comes, I'll fight the guy. I'll fuck him up. But I don't want trouble. So I'll let the guy be the first to get in by like 50 feet or something like that. Um, that type of shit. I would trust the guy for mustache advice. Yes. I forgot to like the stream. It was 33 and I made it 34. Oh yeah, anybody who's watching right now, I would appreciate if you would like the stream. It's unfortunate that two of the best streams that I've had in the last month or two, in the last while, the best stream that I had before this was my PS5 stream, I believe it was. If not, it was one of the fish tank streams at the beginning of the summer. It's unfortunate that some of the best streams that I've had since those streams happen to be because of what happened with Charlie Kirk. It's very unfortunate. I'm not delusional. I know that a lot of you people that are here, you're not going to be here the next stream, which is going to be tomorrow, by the way. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, probably for the Canelo Crawford fight. I'm thinking I'll probably stream for that one, most likely. We'll see, though. If not, I'll just do a regular old stream doing whatever I feel like doing. But I know you guys are probably not going to be here tomorrow. I appreciate you being here today, though. And I would appreciate if you would like the stream just to help me a little bit so that somebody who finds me and does want to be here tomorrow will potentially be here tomorrow, Maybe. By the way, I forget if I said, but thank you, Peach Boy Official, for the $2. And thank you, Big Boss, for the just a little bit under $10 that you've donated. I know I said thank you, Big Boss, for the first donation, but I feel like I didn't express the thanks enough for the second donation, so I apologize for that. That's what I just wanted to say. I just wanted to say, was me shit. Was me shitting into the box? What do you mean was me shitting into the box, Brad? Oh man. It was on X. I was looking for it to show my friend. Good stream. Unfortunately, had to miss a good half of it. That's fine. You're here now. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here. And anytime, my nickel. Thank you very much, Peach Boy. You my nickel. One of your best streams. Thank you, Brad. Thank you. Good night, Don, Scotty. Peace out, Zachary. Oh, man. Yeah, well, we are at that 3.5 hour mark. My voice is a little bit hoarse right now. I'm sure you guys can probably hear. I appreciate you being here. All right. I want to do a 24-hour stream. I've talked about it. The only issue is I would have to do it on Kick, and I don't have anybody on Kick. I don't have fucking anybody on Kick. If you want to follow me on Kick for if I do a 24-hour stream, I think it's just Scott Sullivan MMA. I think it's just Scott Sullivan MMA, but let me double check here. Yep, so fucking bullshit. All right, 15338 Do it on the fish tank site. I can't do it on the fish tank site is the issue. I Yes, it is Scott Sullivan MMA is what it is. It is Scott Sullivan MMA. But yeah, follow me on Kick. I do it on the fish tank site, but I don't think I mean they don't want me on the fish tank site. They told me they don't want me on the fish tank site. I don't know if it's because me or if it's because of the actual answer they gave, which is they don't want anyone who's affiliated with production on the site. If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't know if I believe that. The way I've been treated for a while, I don't talk about it all the time. And I don't want to end up on fucking Nico's channel again because it's really not that serious. But fucking it wouldn't surprise me if there's just some issue that they have with me that they don't want to fucking talk to me about. Instead of just being men about it, they want to be like silent about it, you know, as a means to keep me on ice. Because that's the thing. If you are upfront with somebody, if you are willing to talk to somebody about what your issue is, that means you can't keep them in a fluid state. If you don't talk to people, you can keep them in a fluid state where they're waiting for a call from you. They're waiting for you to they're waiting for you to hit them up, but you don't have to hit them up. But if you ever decide to hit them up, well, they're waiting on the call for you, you know? It wouldn't surprise me if there is some piece of it that is that, if I'm just being 100% honest with you, you know? But yeah, you know? I don't know if I would sweat it. They still bring you into their productions. What productions have they brought me into? They kind of fucked me over on season 3, if we're being honest here. And it's not that I wasn't on season 3 that made me angry. It was, again, the lack of communication, and then they also let that guy teach a self-defense class, which gave a lot of bad people a lot of ammo to try and fuck with me, which is not cool. I don't give people ammo to fuck with them, you know? Fucking, like, right now I'm talking about something that there's going to be people out there who, you know, they're going to talk some shit, but it's not like I'm, like, slinging mud or anything like that. I'm just giving my opinion on how I've been treated, you know? So, like, that's what has me angry. And I told Sam about that. I was like, yo, like, you could have told me, and I wouldn't have made a fool of myself. You know? I confronted Sam about it. Fucking... but yeah, the bottom line is I'm not going to be on the fish tank site. I'm a little bit upset about that. I'm not going to lie. But I'm mainly upset just because it took so long for them to give me a fucking answer about it, you know? And I don't know if I believe that answer, but whatever. You know, it is what it is. Everybody bitches and moans. You know, I've seen so many people bitch and moan and they get brought back. So it's like, whatever. I'll bitch and moan a little bit too. Fucking, I'm not saying, oh, I'm done with them. I'm not even saying that I won't be back. I'm just saying, like, you know, this is how I feel about that thing. Whatever, bro, you know? Anyway. And this is Super Scotty 2. You may be overthinking it. No, I'm definitely not overthinking it. You know? Sorry, I'm checking Twitter real quick. Yeah, I'm definitely not overthinking it, you know? What I'm doing is a very sober, very honest evaluation of the way things have gone down, and I'm just being honest about my distaste for some of the ways that things have gone down with me. I have a right to not want to be involved in situations where, through no fault of my own, I look like an idiot. You know, I have a right to not want to be ignored and looked over and you know, all that other stuff. I have a right to that, you know? Fucking there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Um Um, but yeah, anyway, what I was trying to say is I'm thinking about doing a 24-hour live stream. Okay. That 24-hour live stream will probably be on Kick if I do decide to do it. I have 13 followers on Kick. I did a stream 3 weeks ago on Kick. That is the only, it's not the only stream I've ever done on Kick. It's just the most recent stream that I've done on Kick. Other than that, I have done other streams, but those streams were a long ass time ago. Maybe I'll do Kick because apparently Kick doesn't give that much of a fuck about DMCA and stuff like that. They don't have a DMCA system. And I want to be able to listen to music with you guys. I want to be able to look at videos with you guys. I want to be able to do fun shit with you guys that I cannot do on YouTube because YouTube as a platform sucks for pretty much everything. But it's the only one of its kind out there that is worth a damn. So, I stream mainly on YouTube. So feel free to follow me on Kick. All right. It's kick.com/Scott Sullivan MMA. All right. And I will keep you guys posted. If I do a 24-hour stream, it will probably be sometime within the next month. And we will do our thing. Kick, you can watch vids. Twitch, you can watch vids. Maybe I'll do Twitch. Maybe it'll be but that's the thing too, is like the other reason why I wanted to stream on Fish Tank is because I can say, oh shoot, thank you, Bad Ronald, for the follow. What was I gonna say? I believe that was on Kick too. I didn't realize Kick was gonna give notifications about that. But the reason why I wanted to stream on the Fish Tank side is because I could speak a little bit more freely about things. Is the other thing. Twitch is not one of those sites that I can do that. If I call somebody the wrong name, all of a sudden my account's gone. And Kick seems like it's a little bit more lax about that. So that's kind of what I like about it, Excuse me. Your complaints are benign, a breath of fresh air compared to the shit they're dealing with already. Yeah, I stay out of drama. I stay out of other people's grievances and stuff like that because a lot of the time these grievances and these dramas are not coming from places of benevolence. They're not coming because somebody is actually altruistic and they want to do the right thing. A lot of the time it's because somebody was snubbed in some way, shape, or form, and now because of that they're on the warpath. So that's why I stay out of any and all drama that is going on, and I try my best to act like I don't even know what's going on. I try my best to pretend like I'm clueless. If you bring things up that are going on, I'll be like, really? Is that going on? Wow, I don't know anything about that, but I hope everybody's okay. I know exactly what you're fucking talking about half the time, but I don't. I pretend like I have no clue, And that's for everything. Anytime anyone has ever come into my stream like, yo, dude, did you see what the rat did? You remember Juliana from Bitch Tank, right? Did you see what she did? Yo, dude, fucking Creature said this, bro. It's like, yeah, I already knew, but I'm not going to tell you I already knew. I'm going to be like, oh, really? Wow, that's crazy. Anyway. The old playing dumb trick. Exactly. Play dumb. Let people think you're stupid. It gets annoying sometimes, but it's a really good way to not be involved in shit that is not good for you to be involved in, And never forget. Oh, yeah. I remember the beef between Frank and Jet, although I think Frank is probably a little more integral to Fish Tank than I am, If we're just being honest here. Frank's a good guy, though, Frank's one of the few people who still likes my shit. And that's another thing, too. Like, I appreciated the support from Letty, actually. Of all people, when I got my black belt, of all people to like my Instagram post, Sam didn't like it. Who else didn't like it, right? Jet didn't like it. Ben didn't like it. And I'm not, like, crying about that or anything like that. There's a chance they didn't see it. There's a chance they just didn't fucking see it, But like, it's like I said, Sam didn't like the thing. Jet didn't like the thing. Fucking like Tons of people didn't like the thing. Fucking Frank Hassel liked it. I appreciate that support. You know, fucking Mince liked it. I appreciate that. Charles Carroll liked it. I appreciate that support. You know, I'm not someone who watches my shit to be like, who liked my post? Who liked my most recent post? I haven't even made a post on Instagram since that point. You know, I'm kind of moving away from making tons of posts on Instagram all the time, right? But Letty is another person who liked that post, and I really appreciated that love. You know, and that to me was the moment where I realized, okay, it really is done between me and Letty. Like, we really are cool again. Like, okay, that's good, because I mean, like, it had been a little under a year since she and I beefed. She said it wasn't that serious in the first place. I was half in the bag when she said that, so I wasn't sure if she actually meant that or not, you know? But regardless, like, I appreciated that, and that was a sign to me that, like, oh no, Letty actually has moved on and she wants good things for me. And I've always wanted good things for Letty, so I appreciate that, you know? I appreciate the love from these people who, even if I've disagreed with them, or even if there's somebody who I would assume is just like, oh yeah, this is just some fucking guy that, you know, used to work with Sam. You know, Sam's doing him some favors because he did Sam some favors. All right, whatever, you know. I appreciate all that love, you know, from all of them, for real, you know. Thanks, Frank. You know, thanks, Letty. Thanks, Charles. Thanks everybody else who liked that post. I appreciated it. And I'm not angry at anybody who didn't like the post. I'm just saying, as an example, you know, like, this is like, I appreciate those things, you know. I appreciate why they would do that. What will you do on your I was supposed to be out of here 15 minutes ago, but it's cool. It's cool. We keep on talking. I'm gonna get out of here soon, but you know, you're asking some stuff and you're saying some stuff that I want to react to. They abolished a lot of the woke shit on Twitch. That's good to hear. You know, maybe I'll have to check it out then. But what will you do on your 24-hour stream? So I was thinking either A, try and complete Fallout 2 in one night, like I did the last time, except I didn't do it because I didn't get enough sleep. I woke up that morning at 10 a.m. and I think I started my stream around 7 or 8 p.m. I didn't take any naps. I just was like, woke up at 10 a.m. and then I fucking just had a regular day. I didn't do any prep for it at all, which includes a big ass nap, you know, so that I can actually make sure that I stay up. So because of that, it failed. Eventually, I think it was around 10 or 11 a.m., right? I had been up for about 24 hours already. I was like, yo, guys, I don't think it's going to work out. And I got off and I went to bed, you know? So I didn't complete Fallout 2. I'm either thinking Fallout 2 or I'm thinking Fallout Tactics is what I'm thinking of. Which Fallout Tactics is a turn-based, top-down squad shooter, which I actually found to be a very enjoyable play. I would highly recommend it. It was mixed. The reviews were mixed. I would be in the it's a really great game camp, at least from what I can remember. It was one of those games that I would like accidentally play for like 4 hours at a time, you know, and it would feel like 20 minutes. So I might run through that game for the second time, you know. That's another one too, you know. Fallout 4 is bright and woke though. Yep. I'm mad about Fallout 4. I always talk about Fallout 4 and how angry it made me because it was the Fallout game that Boston got. We aren't going to get another Fallout game. That's not how it works. They're not going to revisit Fallout 4, you know? Maybe in 10 years. Fuck, man, it's been 10 years. Shit. It's been 10 years since the release of Fallout 4, almost anyway. But, you know, maybe we'll get a remaster at some point, but the thing is, like, what is there to remaster, you know? Like, it was a disappointing game on two levels. It was disappointing as a Fallout game, and it was disappointing as the Boston Fallout game. I was so excited. Everybody around here was so excited when we figured out it was going to be in Boston. And it just was not what it was expected to be, you know? You see the way they did DC, it was nice. It was interesting, you know? You see the way they did, Las Vegas and Arizona and stuff like that. Really good. Really, really fun. The way they did Boston was just disappointing, to say the least. To say the least. Do a live 24 hours overnight at Walmart challenge. Maybe I should. Maybe I should risk that one day. I live near a couple of Walmarts. I believe there's like there's like two Walmarts that I could do it at. You know, that'd be funny. Or Fortnite gets viewers. Minecraft is the move. Maybe I could try Minecraft one day. I've literally never played Minecraft, not once. I've seen people play it. I've watched people play it. I have never controlled a game of Minecraft. I've never even held a controller or been like, I've never even held a mouse and a keyboard that was in the middle of a Minecraft game before. I've literally not played it at all once in my life. Maybe I should. But yeah. So I think it's about time I get out of here though. I appreciate you guys. Okay. Thank you for everything. All right. And rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Okay. I can't milk the Charlie Kirk thing forever. Not that I'm milking it now. I just wanted to talk about what happened with the assassination and the capture of his alleged killer, and what happened with his wife, the address that she did. I wanted to go through the updates and talk about what some of these things are and what they mean and stuff like that. But I think at this point it is not going to be good for me to continue to keep talking about Charlie Kirk. So we're going to put this topic to bed as a stream topic. It doesn't mean I'm never going to talk about it again. Obviously, I'll probably talk a little bit about it tomorrow, right, when I stream. But thank you. All right. It is unfortunate. It is very tragic what happened. And I pray for the soul of Charlie. I pray that his wife and his family are able to move on as best they can. You never really move on, but move forward would be more so what I mean. I'm hoping that they will be able to move forward with their lives as best they can. And just stay safe out there, man. Stay safe out there, man. But thank you all very much for watching. All right. I will catch you all later, and peace out.